here. I'm trash Poco, yeah, the support that you fear. You've been expecting to stumble, but I have taken an oath never to heal allies. Your defeat is my prize. Trust me, I'm right behind you. You're not the first I've lied to. I'm sorry to say goodbye, but the truth is that I let you die. At the top of your lungs, you ask why. You know you fell for the healing lies. Healing lies. Hello again, I hope I made things clear. Today's the day, yeah, I will end your career. I've been busy getting aggro, just when you needed a clutch, but I didn't even try. Just another healing lie. Trust me, I'm right behind you. You're not the first I've lied to. I'm sorry to say goodbye, but the truth is that I let you die. At the top of your lungs, you ask why. You know you fell for the healing lies. Healing lies.
People often ask, how can I do become a world championship winner? What must I do to get Abs of Steel and Fist of Fury? The answer? Gimnasio Primo! You will learn to summon strength, summon asteroids, and serve a spicy jalapeno knuckle sandwich to even the strongest of brawlers. Fight with El Fuego in your heart. It will not be easy, but as El Primo once said, no pain, no gain, no glory. Gimnasio Primo. It's showtime.
Welcome in to the Brawl House.
The kick forward, the punch through, that's gonna be it!
No way, England!
This is what everyone is here to compete for. So without further ado, let's brawl!
Welcome back, everyone, to LATAM South. We just got through with all of our quarterfinals, and now we're getting ready for the semis. Chazmac Gaming versus AC Milan Clash coming right at you. Kenny, this is going to be a fiery matchup.
I'm super excited for this one. Both these semifinals matchups have really piqued my interest. This has been a really fun month to watch so far. That lower half of the bracket we just concluded. Both sets super awesome to watch. And of course, it's always a pleasure to see two titans of a region go at each other in the semifinals to see which one of them will emerge and make it to our grand finals.
All right, well, let's see how the bracket has shaped up as well, just to give a reminder to all of you out there as well. And also, let's reflect on some of our personal predictions, Kenny. Both of us, I think, we went for the exact same teams for our predictions, and we got a couple of them wrong, actually, as Zero Zone and Unima Gaming surprised us with a huge victory, each of them, over their opposing teams, Renegados and Envenenados in the lower bracket. But of course, we were both right on the money for Chazmat Gaming BR versus AC Milan Clash.
Yeah, so far a little 50-50 for us, and that's kind of what it feels like to me for this semifinal number 2. I think both these teams proved a lot. They faced off against very admirable foes. You know, 2-1 for Unima Gaming, a little 2-0 for against Renegados for Zero Zone, and just overall very impressive from both sides. I mean, honestly, I could see either of those teams emerging. Again, this has been the storyline with this region so far, though. AC Milan Clash on that upper half did defeat Regulamentados 2-0, Chazmat Gaming BR with a 2-0 win. And this is, again, Chazmat Gaming currently in third, no Arena Casito in sight, who is currently second for the region. Getting those 100 points would be huge for Chazmat Gaming if they can make it to these finals and get a nice win. Big momentum swing possibly coming in for this region, but I think I am predicting AC Milan Clash here. Until proven wrong, I'm going to be picking the guys that have won it the whole way through. Last month, they only lost 3 games, which is an insane feat for any team across any region. They just seem to be the powerhouse right now, and that's who I'm going to side with.
Yeah, and I completely agree. However, if there's going to be any team that can take some games off of AC Milan Clash, it's got to be Chazmat Gaming BR. And we saw a strong start for these guys as well. Lots of confidence. They won a single set, and they were already spinning and throwing up some pins as well. And I think these guys are on fire, and they're seriously bringing the heat to this match. This is the main match they've been preparing for, no doubt. AC Milan Clash, I think, is really the only major obstacle standing in their way for winning this monthly final, especially with Arena Casito not being in this monthly final. However, our second semifinal could present some very real competitors to upset the grand finals, but my money is still going to be on either Chazmat or AC Milan Clash. About our second semifinal, I really think that Unima Gaming showed us a strong performance as well. That's who I think will win our second semifinal. What about you, Kenny?
I went with Unima Gaming too. At the end of the day, I'm going to go with the team that had 7 people in the room cheering them on. Nothing like a little support from the teammates. Feels like a pretty close one.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Very narrow victory. Did a good job, I think, overall. It could go either way, of course, but that one feels like a 55, kind of 45 match to me if I had to take a guess.
Yeah, super close, like a marginal advantage in one aspect of it. For now, though, we got Chazmat Gaming BR versus AC Milan Clash, and of course, we're starting things off on Dueling Beetles. I love this map, actually. I think it just makes sense to be in competitive because I feel like it is a very symmetrical map. That, and also, there are a bunch of different playstyles you can go for, and a lot of different brawlers that can be viable here as well. Mostly looking at the lane, looks like we no longer have Spider-Man competing from the side of AC Milan Clash. Hopefully that does not give them any kind of gameplay disadvantage at all. We'll see what kind of bans they go for on Dueling Beetles, though. Some frustrating brawlers to deal with here. Definitely got to be thinking about Sprout, maybe some Spike, a little bit of Eve could be possible as well, but most importantly, Squeak is going to be banned out by AC Milan Clash, and Chazmat, since they have first pick, are going to be leaving that one available to themselves. Obviously, they won't get to pick it since it is banned out by AC Milan Clash, but for the first pick, they actually go for Stu here, and if I can predict correctly, I would say that AC Milan Clash will immediately follow that with some kind of Spike or Colonel Ruff's pick. Oh, well, Colonel Ruff's is banned out, and we don't actually see any Spike either. Surprising.
Yeah, I don't mind this draft from AC Milan Clash. I am a little bit confused. I mean, Su's a great brawler, but typically not like a first overall pick, and I think his stock does rise a little bit. He's one of those brawlers that hasn't been top 5 for a little bit, maybe not the most dominant brawler as he used to be, but it is still a solid one nonetheless. And, you know, when you have 6 bans in the mix, there's less brawlers to choose from. Maybe he gets a little more love here, but I think the Surge pick does pretty solid into Stu. I think Byron, of course, can be a staple of Brawl stars just in general right now. Chazmat Gaming going to be picking a Bell. Again, another trend that we've seen here today. I feel like a lot of spots here, they would have taken Jesse as that choice, which of course, in Hot Zone can be really solid too. So a little bit interesting picks here from CMG. We'll have to see what they do for pick number 5 and how they round out this comp. There's no Colonel Ruffs, which could help them out a little bit here. Several brawlers off the board that I think do really well in Dueling Beetles. Great bans on both sides. They're going to go with Leon.
Okay, and to break down the Leon pick for you guys, Leon is mainly picked for his Lollipop drop here, which is going to enable the Bell to seriously perform as well. And hopefully for the side of Chazmat Gaming BR, it will give him an advantage over that Byron pick from the opposite side. We'll see if AC Milan Clash goes for anything that can handily take down the Leon. Actually, they're going to go for the Spike last pick, so they will, in the end, be dealing with this Stu. And I wonder why they saved it for last. I mean, I can think of a few reasons. Maybe they wanted Chazmat Gaming BR to feel safe in their Stu first pick, only to follow things up with a counter pick to finish off the draft. They also wanted to make sure that they got some crucial brawlers as well. With Byron and Surge being left open for the picking, they just immediately went for it, and then they started thinking about countering, which is an interesting aspect of drafting in the meta in general. You don't always have to respond to your enemy. You can definitely gain an upper hand with that, but some brawlers are just too good to give up the chance to pick, and AC Milan Clash did pick them. They have not really put them to work yet, though, as Chazmat Gaming BR gets an early lead.
Yeah, just really interesting strategies overall from both sides. I think the side of CMG implementing a couple of the turrets here, kind of that play style, which we've seen in the past be done pretty frequently before the draft format. This is a strategy that's worked before, but I am really curious as how this Spike interaction goes with somebody like Stu. Typically that life plant is a way to counter somebody like Firecrow on the Stu because it can take so many hits, but now with the life plant's health being really, really nerfed, I want to know if this is still a viable option to try and counter Stu, and it seems like AC Milan Clash is betting on it doing that job.
Okay, VTZM really trying to provide some pressure versus Tufa. We'll actually see Tufa completely switch lanes onto the left side. He's going to be slightly outranged by Kyodog, it looks like, in terms of actually reliable damage, but he is going to be an imminent threat on this side. Firecrow also keeping up the pressure at mid. Motep playing very cautiously as he is out of gadgets, but he will manage to get that level 3, and now things can start turning around in favor of AC Milan Clash in a massive way. They are approaching that scoreline already accumulated by Chazmat Gaming BR. They will lose Motep, though, and that is actually going to be a massive loss. He will come back to the fight with a level 2, but he is severely weakened without that range. He's going to temporarily upgrade to level 4. He did have one gadget left waiting in the wings, and Firecrow is able to actually dodge out all of this damage so far, and Chazmat Gaming BR maintains their narrow lead.
Yeah, and up close, Firecrow actually did a really good job into the Spike life plant. Again, it just doesn't have nearly the amount of health it used to after that nerf, and that's going to be something we keep an eye out throughout the whole time. Tufa, for now, though, going to be pushed back. Motep falling onto a nest egg. Life plant going down once again. Heal couldn't quite get there in time. VT Zim going to fall. And now AC Milan Clash with a good opportunity here to make a little bit of a comeback. Firecrow on the offensive now. Motep going to fall. VT Zim throwing down the super, just trying to cut off where they can go. And Tufa now going to go and Viz here too. Good game awareness from Kyodog, though, but they only need a couple left. Chazmat Gaming a BR with game number 1.
Great way to start things off for Chazmat Gaming BR, taking down pretty much their main rival in the very first game. And keep in mind that AC Milan Clash, they only lost 3 games in the last monthly final. So this is number 1 of 3 if they are at least trying to maintain the record, right? They cannot afford a whole lot of losses here. For the side of Chazmat, though, things have to be absolutely on fire. A great way to start things off, I have to say. We'll see if they're able to continuously get that value with both the Leon and Stu's turret going down. I think that was a major factor in the last game, is that they were able to stack those things up and make full use of them. Kyodog is going to try and play aggressively, get that super to take it down immediately if he can. We will see VT Zim actually take down the speed zone very quickly, and AC Milan Clash is forced back so fast. And Chazmat Gaming BR will get to eclipse this early game lead taken by AC Milan Clash.
Yeah, they took a nice stab there at a comeback. At least for now. Motep, though, retaliating with a takedown of their own. Firecrow going to fall too, and now it's just Tufa left standing. VT Zim going to go ahead and throw down this life plant. 1,750 health is all it has now, so just a couple shots can be all it takes, especially when you're going with somebody like Bell or Stu. Right now, AC Milan Clash just climbing Life Plant, being deleted instantly too, not getting nearly the value I think they imagined. And I think it's something that I was kind of anticipating here today, not quite being as valuable. Spike, of course, still a solid brawler overall, and VT Zim putting it to work there with a nice takedown onto P.E.K.K.A. Now AQM with a super large lead of over 60%.
Okay, Chazmac Gaming BR, it's a real uphill battle for them. They don't look like they'll be able to get VT Zim here. In fact, with the 95% mark approaching, it's the point of no return. AC Milan Clash, just as much as they felt the heat in that last game, they completely countered it and channeled it into their own and brought it back. Huge stuff for AC Milan Clash, already loading into game number 3 as well to try and bring back this set for themselves. It's all tied up in set number 1, and the momentum shift is already seriously being felt, I think, by Chazmac Gaming BR. They've changed the positioning of their turrets just a little bit, no longer stacking them. VT Zim is doing his best to try and get that curveball to contact some of the turrets as well. Most important thing is going to be taking down Tufa, though. VT Zim also getting slightly pinched. He won't go down quite yet, though. And Tufa has an Invisi-Heal available to himself, which he will be hanging on to as long as he can. Chazmac Gaming BR has a great advantage to start things off in this game.
Yeah, I feel like there's just been a shift in tones here for CMG for sure. Just a lot of pressure being felt. That second game did not necessarily go their way at all. And AQM now climbing back to try and take a stab at this one too. Tufa, though, touching down on it to the hot zone for now. Nice takedown onto Dog on the left-hand side too. Motep doing his best to scout out Tufa, but Firecrow there to help. Now Tufa going to be very close. Nice life plant too. I think that was good awareness. Recognized that Tufa was right there and get the good defense going in there. But a huge lead right now for CMG, who are trying to take this first set.
Okay, Motep trying to hang on to this right lane. He is going to get downgraded to level 2. Not a huge problem for him, though. He will try and bait Tufa into his sort of defensive area. It's not going to happen, though. Firecrow also getting some great dodges while also being invisibly so hard to touch. But if there's anyone for the job, it's going to be Dog with that last shot. Still, though, Chazmac Gaming BR are not leaving this point anytime soon. P.E.K.K.A.'s getting some great dodges as well. He's going to survive for just a little bit longer. Now it's up to Firecrow to get that last bit of capture. 15% and counting down in order to win this game. And AC Milan Clash can't seem to push these guys off the point, nearing that point of no return. And Chazmac Gaming BR, there are the spins as well. They take set number 1 from AC Milan Clash.
Really nicely done there. They orchestrated a set number 1. Very close overall outside of game number 2. And that time, side of CMG looked really good. I think both sides had some very interesting drafts too. You know, none of the brawlers are ones in the past that super surprised me, but again, Spike was something I was looking out for there. And to me, it really felt like Stu did just fine into the life plant. They took it out very quickly, especially when Stu's up close. They seem to be winning that transaction, especially if there were 2 brawlers focusing on it. And it used to be that that wasn't the case. It was very beefy. He had about 3,500 HP roughly, which is a lot to deal with. And right now, it doesn't feel like Spike's as strong to me. I think he still has a value in hot zone maps like that, just because of his super and things like that. But to me, especially after seeing that kind of play out, obviously we need to collect more data on it, but didn't feel like the best pick to me.
Yeah, and I think overall, like, AC Milan Clash, they picked good brawlers, but they didn't pick a good comp, if you ask me. Because it looked like they responded to, they responded to Chazmac with only 1 brawler, and that was Spike. And as you pointed out, they got taken out so quickly because I think Chazmac very accurately recognized, like, this is the only thing that counters us. This is the only thing that prevents us from just playing these brawlers normally. And they honed in on that and were able to play things very effectively. Another thing, and I really do think there is such thing as, like, picking a good handful of brawlers, like some of the best brawlers in the game, but they just don't synergize well together. And that, I think, is exactly what happened for AC Milan Clash. They saw the opportunity to get Byron and Surge, and they went for it immediately, and then they started thinking about playing Brawl Stars against their enemy. And I think that's what happens when you are on kind of your own level for so long, is that you kind of lose sight of the fact that, yeah, I actually do have to kind of play Brawl Stars against my enemy and think about the picks that they're going for, because we saw Surge got consistently outranged. He wasn't able to get his super reliably. Also, Byron and Spike were pretty much constantly competing for who's actually going to be the mid here. And Byron took more of a DPS role than a healing role, which is not usually the position that you want to place him in. I think Spike was a far better mid when we saw him in action than Byron was when we saw him in action. I don't think that we're going to be seeing any Byron here. It's entirely possible. Spike, very real possibility. Main brawlers that I'm looking at for Hot Potato, I'm really thinking of Rico, and also in terms of bans, look, we got to talk about Squeak as well. This is a go-to for either team.
Yeah, Squeak is my #1 pick if I have a choice at it right now. I could imagine that since Chasmic Gaming does have that first pick overall, they might consider not banning him here. I think Squeak can work really, really well. Of course, these are some narrow lanes as well if they don't have wall break options. So that gadget could really be a threat here. Some other picks that are popular, we see Ruffs being banned on both sides. That's the direction I was heading at least. But something that does really well here that's now several times now we've seen Colonel Ruffs get a ban. But of course, there's a lot of brawlers that could get in the mix here. We're going to see Eve go down, Spike not going to be played, Jesse a solid mid here on this map and also popular from the region. And I'm a huge fan of this Lola pick. I think Lola is somebody that was very underestimated for a lot of people in the last balance changes, and now to me her stock has risen a little bit more. No nerfs coming in or anything, and I think can do a lot of damage. The safe, solid lane option, the ego, so valuable right now, especially if you get the shield. And to retaliate, they're going to be going with Daryl and Bell, two brawlers that can do well here, but I am a little surprised to see Bell from this region and also Daryl this early.
Yeah, and I think this is yet another case of AC Milan Clash just kind of playing their own game here, going ahead and going for the Daryl pick really early on. And I think a big thing is that they don't want to allow Chasmac to get that pick, and obviously Chasmac really wanted that Daryl for themselves because they're going to be picking basically the second best thing, which is Bull. So if anything, AC Milan Clash is basically picking the Daryl to ban the Daryl for Chasmac Gaming BR, and I can't even knock them for that. It's not a traditional use of second and third pick, but it's definitely going to be a pretty profitable use of it as well. We'll see what Chasmac Gaming BR follows up that Bull pick with, though. Something to complement him as he tries to push in. Maybe a healer could work, but also Gale does the job well. And yet again, this is going to be a case of someone picking a brawler that pretty much denies that brawler pick for the enemy team. And I think that Gale's going to be pretty effective for keeping Daryl off of the safe, and AC Milan Clash no longer can use that brawler. So, you know, what? Okay, that's kind of weird.
See, to me, I was more thinking along the lines of Ems. Look, I love my boy Gale. My favorite brawler, of course, like we mentioned earlier today. But to me, I think Ems is somebody that can do well into tanks like either Bull or Daryl. Also a popular pick on this map. And can do a ton of DPS onto that safe. And Nita can do that too. It's really effective into shotgun brawlers. I think Nita will not do as well into, say, the other two matchups, but if they can find it onto Tufa, definitely a huge advantage for them. If you have an extra spawner on the field, especially one as healthy as Bruce the Bear, it can go really well for you. But Firecrow now going to have a decent lane matchup on this left-hand side too. Dog with a nice taking of the mid here. Firecrow left all alone as Pekka returns to action. Nice roll in from Motep. Damage raining in. Does do about 26% in total and counting. Now CMG going to be the ones trying to push forward.
I think that push that we saw from AC Milan Clash was quite interesting because we saw Firecrow was trying to use that safe to tank versus Motep and get a nice pushback or some kind of stun onto Motep, but all the while, Dog was shooting shots onto the safe and reflecting them onto Firecrow and then back onto the safe and then back onto Firecrow once again. And now that we see Dog go down, actually, we're not going to get to see that combo once again. Firecrow is maybe going to get taken down. Let's see if VTZim can get some good value. There's Hyper Bear combined with Faux Fur and a whole lot of damage for VTZim. And really, with Nita, you got to know that your bear is pretty much your main goal. And VTZim is going to get a kill out of it as well. I actually really do like the Nita pick here, and let me explain why. I think that she's great at clipping shots around walls, and I think that she can effectively waste shots from the enemy brawlers, especially Gale as well, since he doesn't have good reload speed. He doesn't have a whole lot of damage up close. Really, the main thing is that he gets his super quickly. Here's a big push in from Chasmac Gaming. They're able to get a whole lot of damage, and Pekka actually gets a takedown as well. But on the opposite side of the arena, Motep is going for some damage as well. 21% threshold reached for Chasmac Gaming BR. They have to keep up the defense, and Dog and VTZim are readying another push.
They're going to allow the Bear cycle out a few shots there, take some hits for them. This Ego going to be putting in work with the shield. Motep going forward, but Firecrow with the instant stop there.
Man.
To the left within 3% left to go. Can they get there? And they do. AC Milan Clash retaliating. They are going to be taking game number 1 of set 2.
Once again, I mean, I like the Nita here. I think it addresses a few key things from the side of Chazmac Gaming BR. I think that it's great at clipping around walls. I think that it's great at wasting some of the shots of, say, Gale, for instance. And we'll actually see VTZM immediately go for Fire Crow as well. And there's a bit of a lane switch up as well. Both of these brawlers kind of sticking close together. Kyle Dog also going to throw down a nest egg to slow things down. Motep has a super, and we're just going to see Tufa go for the safe. VTZM says, hey, it's a free super for me. Tufa heals up as well, and a whole lot of damage piles up on that safe. In fact, 25% taken off by just a single brawler. That is a big risk. Was it a worthwhile trade-off? We will find out. We see the super from VTZM. That bear immediately goes down. Motep with a roll in. Down goes Pekka. But still, AC Milan Clash has yet to get any kind of substantial damage on the safe. But here it can come right now.
Yeah, and I'm okay with Tufa taking that transaction, just in the sense that both of his teammates on CMG's side were able to defend pretty well. They were holding down that mid on their own. Why not cycle in 25%? You know, you do give VTZM the super, but it ended up being a positive elixir trade, as my good friend Ark would say. And now it is 2-2 in terms of brawlers. Nita now respawning, and again, they're just going to want to lane VTZM onto this as much as possible. The downside is, without Nita Bear, can't really get that quickly, and Tufa once again getting a large chunk of damage in there, now 50% in favor of Chazman Gaming.
I'm a firm believer in AC Milan Clash as long as they can actually solidly get close to that safe, and so far they have not been able to do that this game. Motep might be able to do something. Nope, Firecrow with the pushback, and that push is all over. On the enemy side, though, yet again, substantial damage done by Tufa, and he is going to get backed into a corner, but it hardly even matters. He's able to deal with that bear pretty well, and able to heal up just a little bit along the way. VTZM has his super. If he's able to get into a good spot, he can make really good use of it. Firecrow would get countered out pretty hard by the bear, but he is going to save it for a little bit longer. Big damage by Pekka, in rushes Tufa, so much damage, and this could be the end of the line. Pekka almost has enough to take down the safe. No, not quite. It's going to go for at least 20 more seconds, and AC Milan Clash have a huge amount to bring back, and it hardly even looks possible.
Yeah, with only 10 seconds remaining, and Tufa now landing on the safe too. Maybe a little bit of a base race, but not enough time on the clock. Bull does too much damage, 1-1 overall now, and we are going to be having a game number 3 as CMG is looking to capitalize on this situation.
All right, we'll see if that Nita Bear is able to work this time. VTZM, he was playing it pretty well, but I think that as a team, they depended on that a little bit too much, and I think the biggest mistake was allowing Nita to take on the Bull solo, and already AC Milan Clash are going to be playing a little bit differently. This time, Kyo Dog flexes back to deal with the Bull as well, and VTZM still gets a super. So all things are fine and dandy. They got exactly what they wanted, and they didn't have to take as much damage this time. I think this is a great adjustment from AC Milan Clash. Tufa is able to take down that super really fast, and really, no one can do anything to capitalize on Tufa having no more shots left. I think it is a little bit tragic that that's the situation that AC Milan Clash have found themselves in. And still, they also have not been able to get any damage on the enemy point. Peck is going to get some huge damage on that safe, though. Firecrow also getting this solid defense versus Motep. Tufa's going to look for the free supercharge, and there it is, a kill onto BTZM as well. And this is looking so dominant for Chazmac Gaming BR. If they take this game, they're going on to set number 3 with 2 sets under their belt, which is a whole lot more than I think some of us expected.
Tufa continuing to charge in here too. More damage being implemented onto the safe. And just a bigger and bigger lead. It's getting scarier and scarier, but in the sound, you can hear Bruce the Bear going to town on the safe on the other side. Looks like they finally took him down, but that's what those scratch marks sounded like. Now Motep with a roll in here too. The pushback going into Tufa. Gonna get what could be a takedown here. He's gonna take his time. Motep staying alive a little longer than expected. And now Chazmac Gaming's lead only less than 20% now.
Oh, and this is where AC Milan Clash is comfortable once they have that bear on the safe. But actually, that Vortex did a pretty good job of keeping the bear off for just a little bit longer. Kyo Dog gets a little bit more damage on that safe as well. Motep needs a solid roll in. It might be enough. A pushback from Firecrow will keep him off for a little bit longer. 800 damage from that gadget. And Chazmac Gaming BR are going to be making it onto the enemy safe. Do they have enough damage to make it out? Well, Motep is going to be taking his 8,000 health to work with. A little bit more damage trickle onto that safe because they need to preserve some health for that final push. But Fire Pro pushes them back. Tufa might have too much to deal with, and that's going to be it. Chazmac Gaming BR are bringing it on to set number 3. 2 sets victory in a row.
And CMG really showing that it might be their month. It's needed now more than ever. And there was just so much to unpack in that final 30 seconds or so. I've never seen a Twister be put on a high safe like that. What a unique way to play some defense onto a shotgun brawler and Nita the Bear as well. You know, Bruce doesn't know any better. He has to go around. He can't get through the little tornado. What's the poor guy supposed to do? And I think overall, just really creative ways to do that. And Chazmac Gaming has really shown up here today. They're living up to that potential that we really saw coming into this year. It's now 2-0. Again, AQM have been Titans so far. They've been the top dog. Not going to be easy to take another set. And if there's any team that can make a reverse sweep, it is AQM. But CMG have just looked simply better so far here today.
Yeah, and let's also talk about the upcoming map as well, because I think that this is going to be a great finale or a great start of a comeback, right? A great comeback story in the making, because we're moving into Shooting Star. And I think of any single map in competitive map rotation, this map is the most consistent. If you are more mechanically skilled, then I guess as a team as well, and you have good synergies, you're able to pinch and do some basic things like that, then look, if you have mastery of that, you're winning this map, is my personal opinion, right? Some brawlers that I like to see a lot on here, I like seeing Piper, I like seeing Nanny. I think those are some absolute go-tos as well, but with 6 bans being available to both teams, I think all of the mostly viable brawlers for this map could end up being banned out and giving us something a little bit less consistent than we would typically see on Shooting Star. I think something that does surprise us every now and then is a Max-centric comp, maybe like Max and Jean being combined together, getting like a Max range pull and also having the speed to rush right into some of those squishy brawlers that depend on their range for their safety.
Great shout to Max, too. I could even see that being banned. It was earlier today in Sesa, of course, and it might just be a strategy that other teams don't want to deal with. Jean is somebody I could totally get seeing banned here. You know, we could see some really untraditional bans coming in, too. I think a lot of people have thought about the Pipers and the Bells and the Nannies of the world, all these sharpshooters just being the only ones eliminated, but these guys want to play them, too, and maybe they want to play them so much to the point where they're willing to ban what the opposition could use to address them. Brawlers like Max are really solid into sharpshooters. In all those combinations, Pam going to be another one too that I could even see maybe showing up as a ban or being played given the results. Be somebody I'm definitely looking out for here now, just given the possibility that a lot of sharpshooters could get eliminated. It's usually the last straw for a sharpshooter you see on this map after brawlers like Byron and Bell and Piper, of course. But I think Nani's the best brawler if you can get it here. Eve, of course, not as frequently banned now as we've seen in the past, but still a really strong brawler. I think there's just a lot of directions you can go.
Yeah, let's also talk about some of the brawlers that we expect to not be banned. Oh, okay. There's our latest addition to the game, who won't be showing up in this monthly final, just gracing, I guess, your screen for the time being. Of course, new environment with a new update as well that we'll get to get a bit of a taste of as well. But like I was saying, some of the brawlers that we expect to not be banned, I think that this is a harder question to answer than some of the other things that we've been asking ourselves, such as which brawlers will be banned, which ones will be picked. I don't think that Tick will be banned, and I think that's because not only is Tick a great brawler to play, but he's a great brawler to play against if you're able to bring the right tools for the job.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you say that. I mean, Tick and Sprout are some typical picks here that you could see, and even Crow it comes to mind too as somebody that maybe it's one of those brawlers that you end up playing to counter something like Max, which is typically what you see done on this map, or maybe they just eliminate it. Maybe they really want to run the Max combo, and so even somebody crazy like Crow could get banned here who's not a typical pick. I think Shooting Star has so much potential for so many different strategies, and I think you really pointed something very crucial out for this map. We really don't know what the bans could be. I think this is a map especially where those 6 kind of ban numbers are really going to take place a lot of the time, but I don't think it's always going to be just the sharpshooters, which I think a lot of people would tend to think. I think it could really be a variety of things like we mentioned. I mean, any of the brawlers that we mentioned I could see being banned, it's being played. It's just no telling. I think Shooting Star, especially now, is going to be about as interesting of a map strategically as we've ever seen it be.
Well, let's get the bans coming out, and honestly, This is not totally what I expected. In fact, I do think AC Milan Clash will probably go for the nanny first pick, if anything. Yep, there it is. I mean, look, that is the absolute best first pick that you can go for, and they definitely have to feel a little bit of solace, a little bit of comfort in getting that brawler on their side to boot. And the max response. That is actually quite gutsy to go for as a second pick as well. And I think the reason for that is because you can counter things out if you go for like a Crow or something, but you can only get so many of those slowing gadgets per game as well. Let's talk about another brawler that we have not seen banned out either is Squeak, and that could slow things down. We'll see if AC Milan Clash goes for it. In the past, when they've simply picked the best brawlers in the game as opposed to brawlers that are good counters, it hasn't worked out so well for them. And one game going to Chazmat Gaming BR could mean the end of AC Milan Clash, at least for their run in this monthly finals. A bell for the fourth pick. Let's see what the fifth one is.
This is a really interesting draft to me. I think AC Milan Clash, to me, banning Crow signals that they're kind of looking for that max, or maybe expecting it to be banned. And the other side are going to take Max Crow, typically a brawler that does super well into that. And I think Nani first pick is what you do there. I think you're kind of putting a rock in a hard place, but that's kind of what that signals to me of what they were trying to go for. They take another sharpshooter in Bell. They round it out with Leon. Nicely done. And Lola, of course, somebody you don't really ever see on this map, but I think it's a solid brawler overall. I am curious to see how it does on Shooting Star. This is going to be one of those, you know, we kind of have to see what happens here. It's part of this new ban process. It is interesting to me, too, that, you know, the side of Chasmic electing to ban B here as a brawler rather than somebody like, you know, Piper or Bell. Remember, they can have duplicates on both sides, so it looks like they had a very specific thing they wanted to go for as well. Jean would have gone really well with Max too. It looks like as the final pick, they're going to go Sprout as their thrower of choice. Remember, Tick was also on the board here too, so it looks like this is what they're going to use to address AC Milan Clash. Chasmic Gaming going to be going with Max, Lola, and Sprout to try and take it in a 3-0 fashion here. I do think both the comps are very interesting though.
They definitely are interesting. In fact, if I had to say for Chasmic, it's a bit of a hodgepodge, but I think that's because, like, I don't know if there is a brawler that they could pick that worked well versus what AC Milan Clash is running, but also worked with this Max-centric comp that they were obviously trying to get right off the bat. Another thing to consider is that Crow isn't being played because he was banned out by AC Milan Clash, and AC Milan Clash basically decided that they were not going to respond to this whole max thing. They were not going to go for any kind of slow. They were just going to go for a comp that was good, basically. Because I think they already noticed that Chazmat Gaming BR was going to have a rough time deciding on that final brawler, and I think it's very evident in the Sprout pick. Like I was saying, it's not a bad pick, but it doesn't really fit well with the synergy that this comp is clearly trying to play around. For the time being, though, Firecrow has managed to survive long enough with this blue star. Tufa gets the first kill of the game, and Chazmat Gaming BR is appearing to be in an awesome place from where we stand.
I think you bring up a great point, too. You know, I think a hodgepodge is a really good way to put it. They're all brawlers that, I mean, outside of Lola, could realistically show up in just about any time. But, you know, a lot of times they're seeing Max be paired with Pam or Jean or brawlers like that to address sharpshooters. But again,
all right, Chazmat Gaming holding on to this advantage as long as they can. Here's a super in from Motep. He does have that Invisi-Heal active as well. Motep getting a whole lot of healing from that, but no positioning really. He is actually able to get around the right side. BTZM also pushing up around the right side. Speed is going to be vital for Chazmat Gaming BR to use as we approach the final few seconds of the game. Countdown is active. Tufa has a mark on him. Will he use the Ego to defend himself? Looks like he might even be able to get a kill on Kyodog, but that Ego's trapped in the same place. A bit of a misplay there, but there's not enough time for AC Milan Clash to push in. Now it doesn't look like a little bit of damage, but the hedge is going to save Firecrow's life. And Chazmat Gaming BR are at match point.
we get to see AC Milan Clash for the first time this year really being challenged. They're down all the way to a match point, and this will be the ultimate reverse sweep if they can pull it off, but the brawler selections from CMG worked out there. I mean, very convincing win. They played it a very steady pace. Blue Star once again being acquired by Chasmic Gaming BR. And we'll have to see if AC Milan Clash can dig deep here and really make the comeback, but so far so good as Firecrow gets a takedown onto Coyote.
Yeah, and things are not going so good, though, in terms of positioning. Chazmat Gaming VR has had to back up a little bit. No way! Firecrow is able to generate another kill out of that. And here's a speed from P.E.K.K.A. He's going right after VT-Zim, getting some good dodges as well. He took absolutely no damage in that interaction. VT-Zim has had a whole lot of points taken off his health bar. We'll see Firecrow immediately actually get the kill onto that lollipop drop as well. AC Milan Clash have a rocky road ahead of them. If anything, though, they do have a peak that could make some things happen. Warp Blast as well. Firecrow's in big danger, but VT-Zim is going to take so much damage, and there's the kill as well. Tufa does go down in this interaction, but still, Chazmat Gaming BR has a sizable lead in form of 9 stars so far, with 45 left on the clock. And no real supers that could seriously change around the game. AC Milan Clash is going to be in for a rough ride. Will we see a pinch on the right side? Looks like it. That's going to be the first of many stars that AC Milan Clash needs to catch up, and 30 on the clock.
AQM can take any 2 kills here as long as they get Firecrow involved with that, but if they fall, that changes things completely. Tufo with the takedown to Motep, the takedown from P.E.K.K.A. Oh my gosh, a team wipe coming through, and CMG making the statement we've been waiting for all year long, playing up to their potential with 15 seconds to go. They are just moments away from making a grand final.
No way, and here are the spins. A tank by P.E.K.K.A. No Warp Blast for you today, VT-Zim. The Spider-Man just wasn't it. AC Milan Clash, their confidence was completely shut down. Congrats to Chazmat Gaming BR. Like you said, Kenny, this is what we've been waiting to see all year long, and it's finally coming to a head. Chazmat Gaming BR is rising once again to reclaim their fame and their glory within this region. Congrats to these guys on on Chazmat Gaming BR. We get a bit of a glimpse into the AQM household. They are going to be going to the MSI, but they didn't bring the fire quite like Chazmat Gaming.
I'm super impressed with CMG. I really start to question now what this region looks like. AQM, of course, going to be the representative. They simply will have the most points. They're going to be the ones going on, but that's a huge, damper on the mood for sure. A huge shot in confidence and a great time for CMG too. We're approaching about that halfway point in the year. We've got 4 months left to go in points to be acquired, and now CMG shows up. This paints a different picture. Arena Casino didn't even show up this month. CMG's now in the mix. AQM did not look nearly as strong here today. It wasn't just a loss, it was a 3-0 loss. And now these teams, AQM's expected to go against the best of the world. Will they be able to retaliate? Will they be able to come back? Who knows? I think that's something that's going to challenge them, and they're really going to have to overcome that mental struggle that I'm sure they're going to beat themselves up a little bit today, but you got to have a short memory in competitive esports, man, and definitely feel for them. But today was CMG's day. I think they have a really good chance to grab that grand final that we've been waiting for them all year long.
And of course, we gotta find a worthy opponent for the Legend Killers here. Let's take a look at how the bracket has shaped up following that huge victory for Chazmat Gaming BR. Of course, it's a single elimination bracket in AC Milan Clash. Well, we're gonna have to see them next month, or perhaps in the MSI, if anything. Zero Zone and Unima Gaming is coming up next, though, and look, Kenny, I think that this is going to be a colossal game. Neither of us were really sure which teams were going to come out of the lower side of the bracket following the quarterfinals, and we were both wrong in the end. Let's hope we're right this time, actually. Unima Gaming and Zero Zone both brought so much heat in the quarterfinals, and let's hope that whoever brings the most heat, the most fire, and the most passion to the second semifinal can take down Chazmat Gaming BR in the grand finals.
We did just watch CMG put on their best performance of the year so far, but I think the second semifinal could be really interesting too. Both these teams have shown up here today. They played super well against fearsome opponents in the quarterfinals. I think this one really feels like a pretty even match. We both went with Unima Gaming here. We have to make a call at some point, but to me, it really doesn't surprise me either way. I think these guys are going to be pretty evenly matched, and this is one that I'm just excited to see unfold. I don't know what's going to happen 100%. I'm going to be honest. There's only so much we can do in predicting, but this really feels like, at least what we've seen today, 2 teams playing pretty evenly, very well, playing at their peak right now in terms of the competitive season, and I'm excited to see who gets to face off against CMG here in our next grand final.
Look, that's the thing, is like, this is one of the only scenarios where we like being wrong, right? We like being proven wrong. We like being challenged and presented with the fact that, look, you don't know this scene, because that's what keeps you on the edge of your seat. That's what keeps you watching. That's what keeps you engaged in the LATAM South scene. In this month, more than any other month, has brought so many surprises our way. And I think it's going to leave us with sort of a cliffhanger following things. But of course, we're not at the end of the story yet. And perhaps this could be the climax, and the falling action is only impending. We got Zero Zone versus Unima Gaming sizing up here. Our first map should be coming in pretty soon as well. Let's talk about some of the bans that we've been seeing so far throughout the monthly finals that have not worked out so well. I think that the Crow ban definitely came back to bite AQM in the last one. Now, I think Crow probably not going to be banned out here or picked here even. Also, the Squeak ban, or the lack of the Squeak ban, didn't work out so well for the team that didn't have Squeak. And finally, the Surge ban is proving to be not as useful as we had previously thought.
Yeah, I think Squeak's just been the guy to look out for today. I think overall he's, been impressive when he's on the field. Definitely being a factor every time he's been played. But, Crow being out of the mix is a good point. I think last time that could have been a little bit of a misstep. Maybe they weren't expecting the bans that they saw. Obviously when that was off the board, it did come back to bite him going in. To going what looked like they wanted a max combo. We're going to see a little bit of a different uniform here for the side of Unima Gaming too. This LATAM South region has definitely impressed me today with the amount of excitement going on for both these guys, and very comfortable on the top there too for Zero's side.
Now, we'll see which sort of attire gets the victory in the end. First, though, we got to take a look at the bans. Unima Gaming is going to be banning out Squeak, Sprout, and Eve. For Zero Zone, it's Surge, Rico, and Piper. All bans that I think make a whole lot of sense. I think that there are some kind of oversights in terms of a few brawlers, though. I think that Tick is going to be a pretty solid first pick. We'll see if Zero Zone decides to go for it, though. They're going to have to be cautious about what Unima Gaming could go for. And actually, I actually really like the Byron here. Unima Gaming can follow up with something that can get in close range versus him. This is really one of the only scenarios where I would really say that I want to see a little bit of Fang, because Fang was so good at countering Byron out, but we'll actually see the Tick instead. Fang's still on the table, right? The thing is, he would get countered out really hard if he were picked this early, so still on the table for Unima Gaming. Let's see how Zero Zone responds to the Tick pick. Okay, yeah, that was pretty around a thrower, and a fifth pick on the Awakening.
G to be a great choice here. We still got some good options on the board for sure. We have things like Pam, which could show up. We've got Leon available as well, and they're gonna actually go with Grom here with the Sprout ban again. Now that one of those two brawlers is banned on the thrower side, you have to make a choice. How much do you prioritize having a thrower here? And I think in a professional player's hands, even Grom can be put to work. I don't think he's the strongest brawler out there. I definitely would prefer both Tick and Sprout, but just given what was available, it seems like something they wanted to go with. We're going to see Nani come in here too. This is somebody that doesn't typically get played on this map, but a little more when watching scrims and practices. I have appear a little bit more in Knockout in general, just because, again, there's 6 bans on the board. They might prioritize that. It might be in the next tier of brawlers that are eligible to be played here. And again, some very interesting comps we've been seeing this month, and instantly that wall is going to be deleted by the side of Unima Gaming. They want to open things up for their Nani and Brock.
Yeah, look, I got a love-hate relationship with Nanny on Gold Arm Gulch, or even Bell's Rock, for that matter. Here's the deal, is that Nanny's shot fans out so much that you need a wide open area in order to actually get the maximum potential out of it. Otherwise, you're only hitting like 1 or 2 of those projectiles and you're dealing like 1,000 damage at a time, which is just so subpar when we talk about sharpshooters. And that's why the combination with a long-range wall breaker absolutely makes sense to me. Also, another thing that I want to point out, which is quite interesting, is it just seems like throwers are kind of in a class of their own, right? You just need like a thrower. The best thrower is going to be Tick. The second best is Sprout. Third best apparently is Brawl, right? It's like they have their own little tier list in their own category. Good stuff by Felipe taking down Wesley. An early kill is going to result in an early win for Unima Gaming to start us off in game number 1.
I mean, the Nani head just came through so well. What a shot to get the double in there. That was crazy. And Felipe now charging forward as well. Looks like he's got his target set on Grom. Nice swerve there, though. Going to be charging this one up a little bit. Wesley going to be in trouble here, and they don't make the connection. Just some broken grass and a very narrow escape there for Zero Zone, who are already down 1 round.
Okay, and Felipe once again is seriously pushing these guys back. And we will see, actually, the super from Skirtis. It's not going to take anyone down, but it is going to kind of limit where Eptic can safely hide. Wesley also is hanging on to the super. He is not going to be able to push up versus Felipe. A good shot onto Wesley, but he's healed up so much by no one that's practically negated. Also, Eptic going to take this tick super with the watchtower, but down goes Skirtis. And now it's a 2v2 with the poison closing in.
No one going to be taking care of his teammate there. Going to have to dodge some Nani shots, though. Tickhead going to be connecting to the Grom Tower. Super coming through in Zero Zone. Now tying things up. Round 2 going their way.
That was a big risk there by Felipe, and it didn't end up paying off. He decided to use a super when he was right next to the poison, and he ended up getting taken down entirely by the poison, and he didn't get the shot onto no one either. Now he's coming at this game with a fury. Round number 3 got to end off this round with a bang, but he doesn't have the position that he needed, and Wesley gets closer and closer, using these walls to the best of his ability in order to get closer to Felipe. He's going to have to back up now, though, as he has had to retreat, taking a little bit of damage. Also, no one had to get a little bit of healing on Eptic as well, which reduced Wesley's pressure on the right lane. Still a long-range slugfest going on at mid. Once that poison starts closing in, it's going to be a different story, perhaps favoring Wesley and no one, as long as they can keep healing each other and staying alive.
Now the Nani head coming through. Wesley getting tagged. Not enough, though. No one will be healing Wesley. Nice connection there from Nani, though. Things are definitely getting scary as the zone closes forward. Gene get a fall, and now Nani approaching no one. And just Grom standing, and he goes down as well. Unima Gaming taking game number 1 of our first set.
Okay, now we can talk about the new costume, right? For some reason, I don't think this one is a costume. I think it's like an actual uniform. We'll have to have some kind of confirmation on that. We've seen great costumes so far from from Brawl specifically. I wonder if he has anything prepared for the grand finals. That would be the ultimate indicator of, yeah, we're going to the grand finals. What of it? We'll see if they make it there, of course, and we'll see if the comfort versus fashion battle results in one or the other very decisively. For now, it is game number 2 on Gold Arm Gulch. And so far, no decisive advantage. We will see a peek coming in, trying to go for no one. Big kill. He's bounced into the last mine from Brawl, and that is the first kill of the game. Unima Gaming is fighting a 3v2.
Tough start here once again for Zero Zone. Felipe going to be taking advantage of this wide open bottom hand side here. And Brock with the built-in incendiary does help them zone off this map a little bit. Wall break coming through too, and even though no connection, the Tickhead gets the job done. Wesley now standing all by his lonesome in the bottom left-hand side.
And he might even opt to just go for this little mission inside of the poison, not wanting to give too much supercharge to Unima Gaming. In fact, no supers will go the way of the enemy either. Zero Zone now get to come at round number 2 with a Gene super in their back pocket. No one's very close to Wesley, and by no one, I mean not no one, because he doesn't really have a whole lot of KO potential as Byron. Wesley is going to be hanging on to the super as long as he can, though, just waiting on this battle to get in closer range, perhaps tanking the Nanny Peep as well. Is it going to get any damage? Well, Wesley's going to get a whole lot of damage dealt to him. 1-2 tap by Skirtis' crazy prediction, and this one might be in the back for Unima Gaming. Eptic is going to go down to the last hurrah, and now it's just up to no one to clutch this one out, but it's not possible, and Unima Gaming takes this set.
I mean, that was an exciting set to watch. You know, a lot of the times in Knockout, I feel like you can sometimes see a little passive aggressiveness, right? You're going to take your time, you're going to charge up those supers, you're going to take advantage of it, but it just felt like there were constantly Nani heads in play, and it was just super interesting to see it all unfold. I know you mentioned you had a love-hate relationship with Nani, and I think when the walls are up, you're completely fair in that, but now that I've seen it paired with a Brock, I'm a big believer in that strategy. It worked out really well. Even with Tick in play, they had such area control between the Incendiary and the Tick mines, and And then they have Nani for the sharpshooter abilities. You know, Byron is technically a sharpshooter. Gene definitely a solid long to mid-range brawler, but sometimes it just felt like Grom was standing there awkwardly. What's the guy to do? Again, I think in the tier list, it really feels like pros are putting him as that third best thrower on maps like this. And I don't know, I feel like they're missing Sprout there, obviously banned, but the Grom pick I don't think really came to fruition like they thought it would. And the Nani Brock strategy, I think I just became a big fan of it. It really felt like they took advantage of breaking those walls and did a great job overall. I think a really solid set there for Unima Gaming.
Yeah, and I know we also say, like, you know, hindsight is 20/20. If there's anything that maybe Zero Zone could have done differently, they could have retired the Grom, perhaps, right? If you really just need a thrower, then yeah, I guess he's a fairly good option. But here's the deal: so many walls were broken open that they didn't really need a thrower. And I think that if there was a deliberate decision to not break open as many walls, that would have severely crippled the Brock play, and it would have crippled the Nanny play as well, to an extent that I don't think that there would have been any sort of issue from Unima Gaming breaking open all those walls, even if they were not playing versus a thrower, right? So I feel like, if anything, that is a pick that maybe could have gone differently for Zero Zone. And I think they'll definitely keep that in their mind in parallel plays. Of course, that all comes down to a coin flip who gets that last counter pick. But throwers are not as common on parallel plays. So if that's anything to remark about, I'd say Zero Zone does have a better chance of taking this one. Of course, only time will tell. And of course, we'll have to get into the draft as well to see how that pans out for both teams.
Yeah, and this is the second time we're going to see parallel plays today, and I thought the first time was really interesting. I think it was one of the more peculiar drafts that we saw. We saw both Bell and Jesse get in the mix a little bit, and a lot of really solid options overall. Again, got to remember Squeak's in play here. Surge is somebody that's shown to be pretty strong here today. This is a map that Gale, before this format switch up and things like that, was one of the most played brawlers. Byron, of course, still a favorite here, and Spike was somebody that showed up here a decent bit before. I would be more surprised if I saw him now, though, just given the life plants nerf. Of course, can't forget about our good friend Doggo either. Colonel Ruff's a very strong one early on, I feel like, and we've actually seen him be banned a decent amount today.
Okay, and I'm getting the confirmation. I think that's a school uniform. Perhaps that is a pretty snazzy school uniform, if I must say myself. I went to a school that had uniforms on dress days, but it was never that snazzy. So good stuff for Brad Bell, bringing out the uniform and looking like he is in style and seriously dressed for success in this draft. Already, Unima Gaming and Zero Zone trying to set themselves up for success following this draft. Something interesting I want to point out, though, is Unima Gaming is going for some more pointed bans in form of Jesse and Fang. Fang kind of cast to the wayside recently after those last balance changes. Jesse, though, one that could be picked, right? You know, she's decent here. I wouldn't personally ban her, though, and I think this is indicative that Unima Gaming has something very specific in mind, something up their sleeves.
Yeah, a couple thoughts that maybe they were going through. I think they banned Jesse, one, because it's really well played in this region. It's a popular brawler, but it seemed like Mr. P was something they wanted to do. They're going to take that first pick. I think it's really interesting for them not to ban either Squeak or Surge. Zero Zone were the ones that got that done. And if you're in Unima Gaming spot, if you think Squeak's the best brawler, you don't need to ban him, right? They want him first overall, but they didn't ban either Surge or Squeak. I feel like a lot of the time you're going to see teams ban the first best brawler on the side of Zero Zone, but they have to be careful because ideally they would almost want to take Surge. So really interesting, a lot of mind games going down for sure here. We're going to see Bell and Crow on the left-hand side for Zero Zone and followed up by Gale. Again, he did get a nerf, but I still feel like he's a very solid option. And hey, we're proven wrong. Here's a thrower coming in, and it's Sprout.
Oh man, what is Zero Zone going to do to counter? Will they once again decide to go for the Grom or the Tick in order to counter, or will they go for something completely different? Maybe a Gene could work here, but I think that Unima Gaming is well prepared for this. They've already picked the Mr. P, so Gene would be really countered out by those porters constantly filing out of wherever it is placed. And we'll actually see the stew. And this one I can absolutely side with. right? Breakthrough is going to be great for dealing with Sprout. It doesn't give you your super for free, and he is going to still be kind of countered out by the porters from Mr. P, but I think that as long as Zero Zone are pretty, pretty consistent about getting rid of Mr. P's porter as soon as it spawns, especially with Bell, then I don't think it'll be too much of an issue for Zero Zone. I like the draft from both sides. If I had to pick one, I'd say Unima Gaming had the better draft. Let's see who has the better mechanics as we get into the gameplay.
All right, kicking things off. Looks like they're going to be sending Stu on defense here. This is something a little peculiar that you don't see too often with him. He usually uses an aggressor here. They're going to be putting Crow in the mid as well, and Bell, the sharpshooter, be the one laning on the outside here, facing off against Gale. Going to take advantage of that ranged advantage. Maybe even get lucky and get some bounce shots. The breakthrough coming in as well. No one going to be taking down that wall. It's going to make things even more awkward for Sprout now, who's forced back to the Unima Gaming side. Brawl going to fall as well, and a great start here for Zero Zone.
Felipe keeping things back on the right side. Wesley is not really able to pick up much ground here. With Eptic going for the pinch, maybe, just maybe, they'll be able to do something. Look how Wesley has to use 4 shots on that one porter, though, in order to take it down. And look, Unima Gaming, they only got 3 of those in the entire game, but still. Meanwhile, on the left side, no one is getting a great spawn camp strategy. We'll actually have to see Brawl switch up lanes in order to deal with this accordingly. Skirt is also doing a phenomenal job getting some damage versus Wesley. All the while, though, Zero Zone has picked up so much capture on Unima's point, and Unima Gaming has done practically nothing to the enemy side.
And that's one of the things that makes this map so unique. While Unima Gaming does have a 10% lead, now no one is standing on their own safe. They haven't quite touched down on the opposing hot zone yet, and they're able to reclaim theirs and make this look much more convincing. It should be about a 5 to 10% margin, I would say, when they cap this off for the side of Zero Zone. Nice takedown to Brawl as well. It's going to be a 2v2 scenario. The Sprout wall likes some good defense there, and now it's going to be a 9% lead for Zero Zone as they have established full control of their own hot zone.
Wesley keeping things back. Brawl tries to push in. There's a nest egg waiting for him as soon as he dares walk through that corridor. I wonder if he knows it's there. He might trip it. He might trip it on purpose as well. There's the slow from Eptic, and soon after Wesley goes down, now it's up to Skirtis to try and get this push in on the left side. Good job at pushing back Eptic. Also, that wall goes down, but no one is there to take advantage of it. Zero Zone is doing a great job of keeping the pressure up on the right side, keeping Unima Gaming facing a 2v1 on this side. Meanwhile, pretty much nothing can be done by Unima on the left side. Unima does have a little bit of time left, though. They can't make a big push, and they're going to have to keep Eptic off the point. There's the kill by Felipe, but Wesley follows things up on the left side with the kill on Skirtis, and this one is decisively going in favor of Zero Zone. I don't think that this could have been played better by Zero Zone, especially by no one who did a phenomenal job of whatever lane he decided to take.
Yeah, solid overall plays for sure. I think Zero Zone got a nice 25% lead, which is a pretty sizable victory, I would say, in hot zone. Eptic, nice little shake in his head there. Very happy with that. Not overzealous by any means, but it's always nice to get a game on the board here. I think overall, just a very solid job by this team. We'll see if they change things up in game number 2. Again, it is really curious to see Stu be on defense that first time, but it looks like they're going to change things up. No one now going to be playing the aggressor on this right-hand side.
Okay, both teams capturing their own point to start things off. Unima Gaming are going to be playing Gale on the right side and probably sticking him there, keeping him there as well. There's the breakthrough, though. Brawl does manage to actually survive that, but Wesley is there soon after to complete that kill. Eptic also taking a whole lot of damage. He's not going to shy away too much, though. Going to kind of take the long way around to deal with Felipe. Also, Wesley just trying to hang on to this point, get a little bit of capture if he can. Already a good pushback by Brawl. That was actually mid-super by no one, so a wasted gadget for no one. Crazy. I don't think that was reaction time. I think it was a bit fortunate timing for Brawl. If anything, though, it is going to pose a small advantage for Unima Gaming as we stand. There is another wall. Skirtis is barely able to walk onto this one fragment that's left. No way. He baited the gadget out of no one. That's the last one. That's 2 gadgets wasted by Zero Zone, and that could be enough to bring Unima Gaming to the victory.
what plays from Skirtos, just tiptoeing his way around this situation. And he's got his pinky toe in there. He's just barely touching down, but it's enough to give them a lead now. And he's now dealing with a 2v1 situation. Tough one for him there, but it has given Unima Gaming the lead. What excellent Sprout plays there. You know, I think game number 1, they didn't necessarily get a lot of value out of it, but right there are the instances why you can see it being such a good choice. But now the side of Zero Zone closing in. They're going to take down into Brawl. It's going to be a 2v3 situation. Nice connection on the Wesley. They're going to force him back for the meantime. And Brawl spawning in on the left-hand side, going to be trying to deal with no one as he pushes forward.
Brawl has this super ready to go. No one is going to back away for now, actually. Unima Gaming has a marginal advantage, but there's a whole lot of Brawl Stars left to be played. 1 whole minute of gameplay left. No one gets pushed back. Wesley's going to get taken down. No one could follow soon after. We're going to have to see, actually. Skirts has played very cautiously because this nest egg, he only knows approximately where it is, and we're actually going to see Mr. P trip it. And this is actually the best case scenario for Unima Gaming as well. Down goes Wesley, and down goes Brawl in the same breath. Eptic is the next one to fall as well. Skirtis is trying to get away from no one, but it's not going to happen. But still, so much capture has been picked up by Unima Gaming, and it's almost looking like an impossible feat for Zero Zone to bring it back now. Eptic gets stunned. There's the kill, and Wesley's the last one who can bring it back with 15 seconds on the clock. But it's looking like an impossible task, and this could be the set point coming up for Unima Gaming.
Very close one here, but Unima Gaming gonna have enough of a lead here to take this one. Another really interesting one, but we have to shout out the Sprout plays. Absolutely phenomenal work there, cycling those walls in and out with the gadget baiting supers and gadgets. I mean, what crazy performance there, and really taking advantage of the positioning, knowing exactly what needs to be done. Just barely touching down on the hot zone was enough to give them a marginal lead.
Okay, Unima Gaming, 1 game away from taking this set. No, it's the exact same case for Zero Zone, and they got it done in game number 1. Let's see how they react in order to make it happen for this entire set. Skirtis is going to be taking the left side. No one is going to have kind of a rough matchup to start things off. Really, his main attack is going to be dodge versus Skirtis. That's basically all he can do for now. And there's another cycle out of the super from Skirtis. This one-man army approaches the left side. Felipe is going for a little bit more damage. There is yet another super used by Skirtis, but no one shows him who's boss. And that's how you deal with the thrower, is using the breakthrough, and it's not getting baited out this time. No, sir. And no one is getting such good dodges versus Skirtis that this is actually looking like a battle that could go in favor of Stu on the left side. On the right side, though, the Unima Gaming has captured their point already, and they're just starting to set their sights on the enemy point if they can heal up enough health to do it in the first place.
Great takedowns coming in for Unima. They're going to hold tight on defense here, and Zero Zone still has not touched down on the Unima Gaming side, and now Skirtis rushing onto the left hand to try and get whatever he can here. The wall actually going to cut him off here, and the gadget just enough for no one to slide through. Nice takedown there, and they'll continue to harp away on their own zone, and Unima Gaming didn't grab any chunk of the opposing hot zone. That was a very rushed play there for no one, and it worked out very well. Another standstill here as we have a 3v2 situation in Zero Zone. Going to be moving forward.
Okay, Unima Gaming, once again, playing defense, big jump in, and Eptic actually takes down 2 players. One more is on the menu, and that's going to be Brawl, a team kill for Eptic. Unima Gaming has 1 minute left to somehow bring this back. No one keeps it down on the left side. This is the spawn trap that we were waiting to see from Stu. He managed to do it in game number 1, and now he has to do it in game number 3 in order to take the victory. Brawl keeps on moving forward. Eptic also is forced to move back. Wesley, similarly, looks for the long-range control. Zero Zone just has to keep Unima Gaming in their own point. Big push in by Eptic. He is able to get the kill. Felipe barely stays alive, and soon after taken down by Wesley. And Brawl, the one-man army, marches towards the left side. No one is going to be keeping him back for the time being. Felipe files in soon after to try and take this one back. It doesn't look like it's possible for Unima Gaming to take this back. This one has to be going to Zero Zone.
Yeah, with only 10 seconds to go, there's just not enough time. Great effort from Unima Gaming here. But Crow just put in work there, cycling those supers at great time to get not one but 2 kills. And you know, that is really aggressive spots they're putting himself in. He is falling a lot of those times, but if it gets you 2 kills, I mean, that's another positive transaction there. Eptic really contributing to the team there, giving them a nice win. It is now going to be 1-1 overall.
Well, we anticipated a close match, and a close match we shall receive. That's game, or rather set number 1 and set number 2 going to opposite sides. We're guaranteed at least Hard Rock Mine. And Kenny, look, I can't complain. I love me some Hard Rock Mine. This is like the classic de facto map of Brawl Stars. It's the ultimate test of who like really understands the game on the deepest level, or on the most fundamental level as well. Of course, we're not there yet. We'll see who goes into that set with the advantage and the possibility of a match point. First of all, got Pinhole Punt. And we haven't gotten to see any Pinhole Punt yet today, so I'm looking forward to it a lot. You have this kind of ring of bushes around mid, or I guess as circular as a square can get in a game that is based on a 2x2 grid. But yes, Pinhole Punt with its little circle of bushes greatly favors brawlers like Ems, like Crow, and the like, that with 3 bans per team are, I'd say, pretty likely to be banned out as well. So what other brawlers, Kenny, you in particular, do you think could emerge as a result of 3 bans now being implemented in competitive?
You know, if he somehow slid through, Squeak does actually really well on this map in general. Don't think that's going to be the case, though. Let's think about brawlers that maybe in the one-on-one situations don't really get banned. I expect to see somebody like Byron here. Crow could slide through the cracks, too, if teams aren't careful. Ems is somebody that is banned at least a decent amount / picked here. I think a very safe brawler overall. I like where Ems is at in the game currently. Leon in Latam South actually picks this brawler a ton. That could be a brawler that slides into that spot that maybe gets banned now that we have 3 options for team versus 1. And again, too, something that might come through as well, be somebody that maybe in other regions doesn't show up all the time, or Jesse, but are definitely options here. And I do want to point out, too, we have seen Ash in this spot before, and now with 3 bans versus what we used to see, maybe we see him come in with a Byron or something crazy. I think there's a lot of options here. Eve, somebody that might slide through here too. Somebody last month that you definitely would not see make it onto the map just because it was banned. But since the nerf, I think a strong brawler might slip through the cracks. Again, 3 individual per team, but sometimes they overlap. And those are a few brawlers that maybe we could see be a little different here today versus what we saw last month.
Yeah, I think Pinhole Punt is one of these rare occasions where we actually can get a pretty good grip of which brawlers are going to be banned out and which ones are going to be picked and kind of traded back and forth between teams in the draft phase. With 3 bans being available to both teams, I think that, that there's a strong likelihood that one team bans out B if they have like 2nd and 3rd pick, because they want to play Ash and Byron, and they just kind of hope that the enemy team is going to go for like a Crow instead, right? So that, yeah, I mean, you can counter things out pretty well, but Ash and Byron, even going into the anti-heal strat of Crow, is still going to be able to prevail pretty consistently and pretty dominantly as well. So those are kind of some brawlers that we expect to be banned out in a way that enables some of the strats that would be very viable on this map. Some other brawlers that I'm thinking about, though, I'm thinking particularly about Max. I think Max could be great at getting brawlers to the enemy side of the map with, you know, a whole lot of health. Not relying on the bushes too much. She can also be pretty frustrating to deal with once she's all sped up in those bushes, even if she doesn't have her super.
Yeah, max combinations could certainly show up here. I think especially with the 3-ban format now, it's somebody that may have not been a priority or a strategy utilized quite as much, but Max is certainly a great brawler right now, and in tandem with some of these other brawlers that do solid in this map, you know, we see Sandy from time to time. Ems is a very popular pick globally here in the past. I think there's some great options. We could see some of those long-standing, tried-and-true Brawl Stars combinations, like you mentioned. We'll see. There too, bouncing and the scorecard there. I always love to see the little attention to detail they put into the game.
It is all quite fun and nice, and we'll get to see a little bit of that later on. For now, though, we have the bans rolling out from both teams. Zero Zone banning out Mr. P, Ruffs, and Byron for Unima, Crow, and Eve, and Squeak. I think Unima Gaming, look, I talked about the Crow ban, some kind of counter to the Byron and Ash that could be coming in, maybe. Well, Surge is going to be picked here, which could be pretty handy at dealing with that, and Kenny, you're right on the money. We will see the Leon pick, a very common pick in this region, and they will also be going with the Bell too. And this combo, it's pretty straightforward. You're basically just throwing down the Lollipop drop and relying on the sharpshooter battle going your way because an enemy sharpshooter can't really see you. We'll see how Zero Zone decides to cope with this, as Zero Zone actually can get some pretty good damage onto the Lollipop drop that Bell would be standing next to if Surge can contact it. There's the Gene pick actually from Zero Zone. You got one more Brawler to combo with it to finalize your comp.
Gene's somebody that we haven't seen at least too much on this map. It's definitely not a bad choice by any means. I think it'll actually deal pretty well with this sharpshooter combo. Looks like they're going to be using Spike to address it as well. In the past, Spike has been a very solid option going into the invisibility factor of Leon. And again, this region really prioritized Leon in this map. They're going to get an early pick out of it. And I like how you mentioned too. It's a great synergy to run with a sharpshooter like Bell. You take advantage of that invisibility. And the only thing harder than dodging a pro player's sharpshooter shots is when you can't see it coming. So I think some great options here. Clearly, Zero Zone is preferring the Surge here. They value it a lot, and honestly, going to be a pretty great option here. And we see Sprout once again coming in for Unima Gaming. This is clearly a brawler that they really like. Not something that we typically see from other pro teams on this map, but again, we've been surprised before. It's something that on maps that traditionally don't use throwers has worked out, and I think just based on what I saw last time, I was very impressed with the Sprout play. I think it could work and is a great counter in this fight.
I totally agree, and I think it is also quite gutsy to play that into Surge, and it's also quite gutsy to play it into Gene, who can pull you. I think it's a heavy reliance on the Lollipop drop as well. Skirtis is going to avoid a lot of damage. Eptic is going to get the kill in the end onto Skirtis. Here is the pass to Wesley. It's not going to be enough to get that goal, though, and the ball ends up getting cornered as well. Lollipop drop also used to survive a little bit longer. Is Barbell going to be able to get good value out of it? Does look like he's able to get one kill. Not going to get the second as Wesley takes him down. Eptic also going to be looking for a safer position within these bushes as Felipe gets pinched super hard, and Skirtis is all alone on the right side. No one could look for the pull. I don't know if he will. Just might. There it is, actually, and he combos with Eptic as well to get the first kill as they rampage towards the enemy side of the map, looking to lay their hands on that ball as well to get their first goal.
Yeah, nicely done. Zero Zone with a lot of control so far. Brabao just taking his time here. Does have the invisibility. I'm imagining trying to figure out when to use it. I'm curious to see if any of these guys are implementing the visibility gadget here. I feel like it could be very valuable on somebody like Gene. Nice takedown from Brabao, though. Also popping in invisibility here. Wesley not quite capitalizing the super. Does power up a little bit, though. Nice shots coming in from Brabao, though. And another takedown on the other side as well. Skirtis and Bell win their lane as well. And now Unima Gaming for the first time with some more dominant control. Zero Zone on the defensive.
Okay, and we don't see any kills from Unima Gaming quite yet. There's the hedge. It looks like it was to lock down Wesley into the goal, but is going to do just the opposite. Pops him out. Brabao is able to get a kill off of it, but no one follows up with a kill onto Leon as well. Skirtis also trying to keep the pressure on the left side, doing his best to deal damage versus Eptic. He almost got the kill there, but it looks like Eptic is going to be able to slip out of the cracks, and the nest egg slows down no one just enough for them to get that kill in the end. Skirtis gets that last bit of damage, and he looks for the kill on Eptic as well. Mutually assured destruction on the left side. And Felipe has to get this last bit of damage on Wesley in order to ensure safety for his teammates as the clock ticks down. That bush at mid seems to be a huge factor in the success of Zero Zone in the early game, but since there have been no goals so far, Unima Gaming will be able to bring this one into overtime with a slight advantage in their favor. Unbelievable. A good pull by no one, but Skirtis barely survives. That last bit of damage is going to come out, but Felipe fires back, and here's the possibility of a juke shot with the super. Brabao is moving forward. Will he be able to get the kill? No, it barely doesn't go in the corner. Unbelievable. And this could be a game-deciding factor. Unima Gaming have to keep up the pressure.
Really unfortunate miss there. Felipe with an opportunity, and unfortunately just to the right of the goal. This is the opportunity that Zero Zone needs, though. 30 seconds to go. They have a couple supers on their side. Sprout is truly going to be tested here. Gonna throw down the wall. It's only gonna give them 3 little spaces there, but it is enough to at least protect them for now. But Wesley gonna be approaching with the super. Nicely played there. And like you mentioned before, Surge gonna be a great way to try and deal with Sprout, especially when there are no walls in the field. 2 supers on the side of Zero Zone. They're gonna be marching forward. That's a takedown. A pull coming in onto Felipe. And now it's a 3v2. And they only need 1 little shot. Wesley will not match what Unima Gaming did. They're gonna get a goal. Zero Zone with the epic comeback.
I really feel for Unum right here, because that should have been a goal. It looked like they were trying to get that ball right in the corner of the goal, and it didn't even have to be precisely in the corner of the goal. It just had to go past Wesley, and that small whiff shot cost them the entire game that they worked so hard for, especially throughout the domination that Zero Zone is able to muster as long as these bushes are up. So if Unima Gaming is able to make it to overtime once again, I really think that they could have this one, but especially with the Sprout versus Surge interaction towards the late game in the last one, this is looking like it's way more possible for Zero Zone. In fact, they'll get a team kill and a goal to start things off. I don't think overtime is impending unless Unima Gaming gets some crazy offense here within the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, Unima Gaming definitely. Tides are turning. Zero Zone taking advantage of the momentum, and they just gotta have a short mentality. But the nice pull onto Skirters is gonna make it tough as Wesley has a super, a power 3 surge, and I think tried to get a little fancy with the 180 dunk, couldn't quite get it done. We're gonna be playing a little longer here, at least in this game for now. We do see a power 4 surge, and they are still looking really good to take down this set.
Okay, Eptic has to lay down the control here on the right side. Once he's able to get that super out, he will seriously be able to lock people into their own spawn. Brabal is on very low health, and here comes the emergency wall from Skirtiz. Zero Zone pretty much retreats here, though, as they don't want to give any value to Sprout so that he can farm up that wall once again. It's proving to be such a pain in the butt for them right now. No one is going to be looking for his next super as well. Wesley hanging on to his next upgrade also. Despite being marked at the moment, we will see him go down, but he does take Brabal down in the same breath. Also down goes Skirtiz. Looks like Zero Zone will be able to hang onto their position here. Felipe does get a kill, though. This very well could be a comeback for Unima Gaming. They're going to have to be very cautious about dealing with Wesley, as he does have a super. He's already level 2.
And they addressed it very well. No one been a big pivotal factor of this so far. The pulls have been immaculate. Both games, just constant kills cycling in and out, as we saw just a little bit ago. Wesley going to kick the ball over. No one pocketing it in the bottom left-hand side. They have some pretty good aggression going down. Wesley, though, somehow staying alive for a moment, but finally falling there. And with 15 seconds to go, Brabal going to be creeping down this left-hand side. They do get the takedown, the slow coming in the spike, though, and there's no way they're going to be able to grab the ball quickly enough. The pull coming through, too, and Zero Zone holds strong. They will be taking our set number 3. They will have a 2-1 lead.
Huge stuff for Zero Zone, and just like that, it's on Hard Rock Mine. And look, at so many times, it looked quite decisive for Unima Gaming. I really thought they had it in game number 1, but I think that single whiffed goal also kind of altered their mentality as well. They were absolutely on fire. They were rolling with it. They did have kind of a rough Sprout pick into the Gene, which did pose some major issues for them at certain times, but they were still able to get the W in the end. But game number 2 was such a different story. That was Zero Zone through and through, no doubt about it. I couldn't really have seen it going any other way besides a victory for Zero Zone in that perspective. Now, though, we got to shift our focus to Hard Rock Mine. There's a vastly different map, and the draft phase is going to be extremely different as well. I think Gene is still a possible pick here, but so many brawlers are going to be left open, and I think even if you do decide to pick Sprout into, like, Gene, you're going to be so separated on the lanes that it won't even matter. So much different game mode, much different play style, much different draft and bans coming out here as we move on to Hard Rock Mine.
That's a great point. I could see a lot of different bands coming through, too. You know, in the past, the most picked global brawlers have included things like 8-Bit, Colonel Ruffs, Rico. But do those things even survive the ban phase? We've also got Squeak in the mix now. We just saw Surge get in some action. Those could easily be banned, and we can't forget about Eve either, a really strong brawler that maybe slips through the cracks here on this particular map, but I still find to be a pretty solid mid in this situation. I just think there's a lot of different directions to go. I'm going to give a big shout out to Piper here. This is somebody in practice that I've seen implemented a lot more on this map. Already already a pretty solid option. Doesn't do great into 8-bit, but is a phenomenal choice to just break open some walls and can really pave the way for your team to succeed. Again, if you can just cut off that one little section of grass on the spawn side, it can really help out, take down some walls too. I'm a big fan of Piper here emerging as a good candidate here, especially with more bans in play.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the Piper here, and I agree with the point you raised about 8-bit as well. 8-bit is going to be super strong here, and he's going to be one that you're going to be cautious about playing as well. You don't want to allow like Jesse or Bell to be played into him because they do counter him pretty hard. If you're playing 8-bit, then you can also pretty safely assume that the enemy is going to be picking something specifically to counter it, as well as maybe like a Pam, regardless of whether it counters anything out or not. She's a very solid mid, and just having a turret being played into an enemy turret to give you a little bit more survivability, a little bit more clout and pressure at mid is definitely going to be a winning strategy as well. Some other brawlers that we definitely have our eyes on, at least for the bans, because I really cannot see these brawlers being picked. Rico, I think, is probably my number one. When we even had one ban, Rico was getting banned out by whoever had that first pick, because he is a frustrating brawler to deal with, especially if he's able to get on your backlines. It's a similar story to Ring of Fire. Once he's able to get into your backlines, he's so difficult to get rid of, especially if you're playing a brawler like Piper or something.
Yeah, Rico has definitely been frequently one of the most picked and banned brawlers globally in the past. New format, I expect nothing to change. I can easily see him. He's a great candidate overall. Definitely a good shout by you.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I do love Rico on this map, and I think a lot of other people share that opinion as well, unless they just really hate playing into him. But I don't think anyone dislikes playing him or having him on their team on this map. So that's one that we will be considering a bunch. As far as brawlers that could counter out Rico, maybe Surge. I mean, he doesn't have to teleport anymore. You can still jump over walls, but you're going to be hard-pressed to find a brawler that counters him besides Sprout. And I think that if a team thinks they have a chance of getting Rico on their side, they're absolutely banning out Sprout in this map. We'll get those bans rolling out in just a moment, though. 3 bans per team. What are they going to be? You also mentioned Eve is on the table, which is one that I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for. We haven't seen a whole lot of action from her, as we have seen her banned practically every game. And there's the Rico ban, actually, from Unima Gaming. A similar ban from Zero Zone as they ban out Colonel Ruffs, who get some ricochet action in there as well. Also the Squeak ban and the Surge ban from Zero Zone, Unima Gaming with a Fang and the Max. But the one they forgot was Eve, and she's going to be a great lane brawler.
Yeah, definitely an excellent option here. They're going to elect to go with a Byron in return, which of course is going to be a great mid here. Somebody else I would have been looking for in this region too is Mr. P. That's the guy I was kind of looking for here. And I think they're honestly going to be considering using him as a lane option. I think having the spawners here is going to be great, and actually a really good choice into Piper. So that's interesting. I imagine the way it's shaping up right now is Piper is going to be trying to find a Byron mid matchup, because if it's going into Mr. P, it's definitely not going to be as good of a time. But very similar lineup so far. A sharpshooter for each side into an extra set of spawners with Mr. P and Eve. Pretty even right now in terms of the strategies they're both trying to implement, and to finish things off, they go with Daryl. Again, I'm immediately on Gale watch, just because he's such a hard counter into tanks right now. I think it's a very nice matchup, and definitely one that can be solid with as many walls as there are. Of course, Piper could take them out here and there, but I think overall Gale's going to be an excellent option to kind of address the Daryl pick.
Yeah, I'd say that it's a pretty solid option as well. Zero Zone had to choose very carefully as well, because there are a lot of good counters out there to deal with brawlers like Daryl and stuff, but they are lacking a little bit in range, and Tara definitely, I'd say, fits that mold. She is going to be able to do pretty well on lane, I think, if she's able to get into the enemy bushes. Kind of a similar thing with Rico. Tara's just one of those brawlers that's literally so good when she's hiding in bushes, and obviously when she has that super as well, she's going to be so much more difficult to deal with. And I think that, I mean, this is a no-brainer. Zero Zone are absolutely going to be getting Tara onto the Daryl lane anytime they can. Bit of a misprediction, actually. Both teams trying to get the Daryl away from the Tara, and Zero Zone trying to get the Tara away from the Daryl. We'll see Felipe actually probably shoot the first shots over here. Wesley surprising him as well, going for some of those shades as well. And we'll see Skirt is pretty happy with his interaction that he has early game. Wesley already shifting over to the right lane to take the spot of his fallen comrade and get that first bit of supercharge. Nonetheless, Unima Gaming has done a phenomenal job of getting the first few gems as well. No one is going to go down. It's all up to ENERGETIK to pick these up, but it looks like Brawl is a little bit better slated to pick these up.
Unima Gaming's gonna have to be really cautious here. If they're not careful, they can get overwhelmed by the number of spawners that can go down. Wesley has the gadgets, plus anytime they use the super, there's gonna be a shade coming in too, plus the Mr. P spawners. I mean, Eve with a slow reload speed, Piper's a single shot brawler, Daryl as a tank doesn't do quite as well when there's more brawlers going into him. When you've got those extra things helping you out in the field, it can certainly provide some trouble. I definitely think there's an opportunity here for both sides. They definitely have some win conditions going both ways that can pave the way for them getting a win. Right now, though, it is going to be Unima Gaming with a 7-3 lead.
Brawl being really cautious right here. He's just one tap away from getting taken down by ENERGETIK, but he's not about to let that happen. Neither will his teammates either. ISCRITTI picks up the last few gems that they need, and Unima Gaming will be on the defensive now. And we will see Wesley make some serious ground on the right side. Also, all these gems get dropped. It's all up to ISCRITTI to hold down the fort and hold on to these gems. He does have an escape mechanism, right, to give him a little bit of mobility. He has high survivability as well. You wouldn't want this to be the gem carrier unless you had 10 gems total, right? And with the clock ticking down, it doesn't look like he's going anywhere. Not into the middle of that black portal either. ISCRITTI's narrowly surviving. And that is going to be this game going to Unima Gaming. They're not going to a match point just yet.
That was a great fight there from Mr. P towards the end. Very close to getting the takedown that they needed, but overall, Unima Gaming securing game number 1 there. They're going to be trying to hold off a little longer and force this to a set number 5. This time, all 3 brawlers on the side of Unima Gaming going to be just starting off in the mid here. They're going to be working as a unit to try and take down this Taro, which is going to be really nice for ISCRITTI, who arguably has the toughest time into the Taro. Roll now going on to no one as well. The slow coming in too from the gadget, and ISCRITTI popping off really early on. Unima Gaming claiming the mid very early with a swap of lanes.
There's one little flea spawning on the right side. Wesley shrugs it off, though, and makes his way over to what's going to be his home for the majority of the game. As long as he has any say about it, he is going to be hanging out in these bushes as long as he possibly can. Big wall break for Piper, actually. I wonder if that's going to be more of a blessing or a curse. Of course, that is up for debate. We'll see Wesley and no one actually slowed down here quite a bit, but not really a huge issue either. And a big amount of damage onto ENERGETIK. He heals it right up again, though. Unima Gaming have the advantage in terms of gems, but really what they need here is a big push, some crucial kills in order for Brawl to be able to pick these up, and that they shall receive, actually. Felipe leaves this gem on the ground, perhaps for Brawl to pick up. Doesn't want to risk it, doesn't want to give it to the enemy team. Brawl can also play around the positioning of this gem. No one's not going to pick it up either, actually. And we'll see on the left side, ISCRITTI is in a furious showdown versus Wesley, which is going to ultimately result in his demise. Brawl has to get a kill here, but ENERGETIK is not going to let that happen easily. Neither will Wesley as he pops the super. Felipe actually dodges it out, still does not make it away with his life, but the positioning from ISCRITTI and Brawl is just enough to secure them the countdown and potentially the entire set.
Great plays overall. Brawl with a nice connection to establish that mid control, and ISCRITTI is now going to be collecting the remainder. 3 brawlers, though, going against these 2, and Piper doesn't have a lot of HP to work with here. ISCRITTI is actually going to be pushing forward. They're just trying to get the blue side out of their zone. No one just going to go ahead and pick these up here. He's actually going to use the Mr. P porters to block off for him. Piper's going to do so little damage. He's actually just standing there, and it's working for now. Can they get a takedown, though? No one continues to back away. ISCRITTI is finally picking them up, but Wesley with the super, and now 7 gems being delivered to the blue side. They can walk away with it here. 13 on their side, and they're going to their spawn. 13 seconds to go. Can they get the takedown that they need? The spawners blocking off a little bit. No one defending. And what a great turn of events here for the side of Zero Zone. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
That is absolutely insane. This has never, ever happened in the BSC. Come on, ENERGETIK. Can't you show a little bit of emotion, man? That was crazy. That was crazy what just happened. And he's not even reacting at all. That's what you call ice in your veins. Never let your enemy see any emotion. Never let them know what your next move is. That is for sure. Zero Zone are at the match point right now after that crazy comeback. Unima Gaming, though, they have to have the confidence that they can get this game. They played so well throughout the first one and the second one. Kind of a freak accident there towards the end of that last game. And Brawl is going to show us that that's exactly the case. Already picking up the first 4 gems to spawn. ISCRITTI is also providing the pressure as well. And looks like he's going to try and enable Brawl to get a little bit of positioning here. 5, 6 gems on the side of Unima Gaming. This is pretty decisive in favor of Unima Gaming for the time being, but we know Zero Zone, we saw the last game, they can totally bring it back, but their time is limited.
Great connection from Brawl onto the Tara. Mr. P on the right-hand side just trying to do his best. Felipe in a very aggressive position now, too. Skirta's lurking in the grass as well. He's just going to go ahead and pick up this gem and walk away. Once again, we're seeing Unima Gaming with a hot start here. 10 gems to their name, and they've already started the countdown. Brawl trying to help his teammate deal with no one who is in their spawn, and this was the pesky one that was the one that got away last time. A nice dodge from the Tara. Super, though. 7 seconds to go. All they need to do is have Skirtas and Brawl survive. About 2,600 HP. A takedown onto no one, and Unima Gaming do escape a tight set overall. They are going to be forcing this to a number 5.
Look at Brawl just kind of sighing a sigh of relief here. Big win for these guys. And a bit of an upset there in game number 2. That was crazy. I mean, look, as a spectator, I cannot be upset. That was insane. I think we saw 2 things that we have never, ever seen in the BSC up until now. First of all, a comeback of that magnitude that was made possible literally by Mr. P, his porter, and his little porter station taking so much damage from Piper and just a whole chain of events, but also the mental reset that like completely took place on the side of Unima Gaming. I've never seen that much of a refreshment from one game to the next with the exact same brawlers after such a disappointing and crushing end to the previous one. Kudos to Unima, but also kudos to Zero Zone on bringing back that second game. In the end, though, it all comes down to Heist. Hot Potato is right on the horizon, and this game can end really quickly, or it can just drag out and seem to have no end in sight whatsoever. Some brawlers we expect to see here. I think the Rico is definitely one we're looking out for, maybe some throwers as well. But more importantly than anything, I want to see the Daryl once again, because I loved seeing Daryl played by Unima last time, and I also think that Zero Zone did a pretty good job of countering it in some key points in those last games.
So far today, both the regions have used both Daryl and Bull. One I'm looking out for too, definitely not in the forefront of my mind in terms of picks, but just want to remind everybody about this brawler. It's been a while since we've seen them, but back in the good old days of the old format, BB showed up here a lot. Recently got a buff as well. Definitely somebody I'm looking out for. It was somebody I saw get played in Say-So a little earlier today, and I was like, wow, I never even thought of that, but it was a really dominant brawler back in the blind format. Maybe if they can get those drafts aligned just right, could be somebody we see here today. One we didn't see earlier too in the draft that we saw for Hot Potato, I was kind of looking out for Barley as that 6th pick. They didn't go that direction, but certainly a really strong brawler here if you can make it fit. Once again, Bull, somebody I think we have to be on watch for too at this point. You know, I think a lot of teams prefer Daryl, but it seems Bull has definitely filled that role in. He is a long-time great heist brawler, and it seems like a lot of teams are bringing that back here today.
Yeah, I love seeing the Barley here. He's like, just a classic brawler to be played here, but following the whole blind picks thing going away and now draft being a reality, it's so easy to counter him. I mean, it's easy to counter him if you know he's going to be played, right? Because his counters are very clear-cut. You play any kind of tank, you play any kind of brawler that can break walls, he is going to be very vulnerable, and his range isn't amazingly long. His safe damage is fantastic, so really that pick relies on there not being much to counter him. So as a 6th pick, I totally agree, Kenny. We could see him arrive here. We'll have to get the bans first of all in order to actually see Barley to begin with. I wonder if we'll see any tank bans by either team, though, because we did see the Bull actually steal the show last time we saw Hot Potato played today. Daryl from the side of Unima Gaming was a serious threat for Zero Zone, though, so it wouldn't shock me if they banned that. No, actually, Rico, Ruffs, and M's ban. They really want to play tanks here. Unima Gaming, I can't really deduce what they're going for here. but they are going to be banning out Squeak, Stu, and Eve. Definitely some frustrating brawlers to deal with. Zero Zone, start things off with the Lola pick. Let's see what Unima Gaming goes for.
Another really early Lola pick, followed by another really early Daryl pick. Last time, they took Bell in that spot, the first draft we saw. This time, they're going to go Surge. Really strong brawler right now. Don't fault them at all for it. Sometimes you just want to take it off the board so your opponent can't use it to their advantage. I love Lola here. It's something I mentioned earlier. Great first overall pick, a lot of damage. That ego shield is very strong. I think people underestimate it, and it's a reason that I would put Lola in a top 10 brawler spot right now. I'll go as far to say that. I think she's just overall does her job so well. A ton of DPS. The shield really helps get that damage in onto the high safe. Very solid lane brawler overall too. Definitely a fan of that choice, and we get to see our boy Barley show up here. We'll see if anybody follows up with a bull pick, but this is agreed. I'm a little surprised too, just in the sense that it is a good brawler for this map, but way earlier than I would have expected to see it in the draft. If anything, I would have seen it coming with Unima Gaming as a 6th pick. And they're going to follow up with the bull here too. Some crazy drafts coming in today. Ready?
Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, look, the bull I can totally understand. The Lola makes a whole lot of sense. She gets so much damage. We see her play a little bit differently as well. She's able to... Oh,
no way.
Dude. What? Well, look. No, actually, I'm lost for words. I don't have anything to say. This is insane. I cannot believe this is happening. Zero Zone has started off with the Barley to surprise us. Dynamite? Okay. I mean, look. Everyone has at least a few friends that main Dynamite, even though he's not like one of the de facto best brawlers in the game. But a good player on Dynamite can absolutely steal the show. Already, look how much damage he's doing. Already some wall break as well. No one is going to be trying to stay alive. Felipe also going for some serious pressure. He's got to get the pinch between himself and Skirtiz in order to get these two on the safe. Though we have started off the game with a little bit of damage for Zero Zone onto Unima's safe. 2 minutes on the clock. Big kill for Skirtiz. And Eptic goes down. Felipe also goes down as well. Wesley is a supreme survivalist here. As Lola, he will get the kill, and here's a whole lot of damage coming from the combo. Unless Felipe has something to say about it, there's the kill once again. It's absolute pandemonium on the screen, but one thing remains constant. That's Zero Zone's heist safe health, as no one has touched it until now.
And I think it's a great mention that, you know, Skirta's running the Dynamite. It can be really solid in a professional player's hands, and fortune favors the brave, right? You got to risk it sometimes as a brawler they seem confident with, and to me, you just don't go Tick or Sprout or Grom here. I think your next best choice really is Dynamite, and he can be a great one-on-one brawler if you're... Gaming, getting a nice defensive effort.
And Eptic is not going to leave this high safe alone. He's going to be getting as much damage as he possibly can, but now he has to opt for some defense. We'll see Brawl actually go for the kill. 126 health left on Eptic, and a minute left on the clock as well. If Felipe can get a solid roll in, that is going to be a game decider, but here's the super in from Eptic. Skirtiz has to make it to the opposite side of the map. Eptic is going to try his best to keep up the defense. No one needs that final bit of damage, but it's not going to be enough, and Wesley's able to get the final shot, and Zero Zone are at match point. Brawl got to bounce up and down a little bit, got to keep the blood pumping, got to keep his head in the game. It was a great last game. It was a very near victory for Unima Gaming. From where we stand, though, Zero Zone has been playing really well, especially in the face of some serious counter picks, especially for Barley, which have proven to be all but ineffective. Eptic is still able to reliably get onto the safe, and he's already going to be getting that inaugural damage onto Unima Gaming safe.
And a nice stun coming in here, too, for Skirtas. No one left to evade a couple more shots. Heals himself up for a little bit. Wesley with the takedown of Felipe. No one with the takedown of Brawl. And Zero Zone harping away at the safe. Eptic doing a nice job. Barley can do a hefty amount to a high safe. No one also just going to be able to take his time here, dodge some shots, and remember that Bull Super can just charge through a wall at any given moment. So far, so good for Zero Zone, but Skirtas puts a pause to that. Eptic going to fall here. Brawl is a great brawler right now. It's going to be tough to deal with all that HP with Bull. However, Daryl comes to the rescue there, and now all three brawlers for the side of Unima Gaming will have an opportunity to try and push forward. They're going to need a lot of damage if they want to make a comeback here.
Satchel charge stun on the Wesley is going to be enough to take him down. This could enable Felipe to get a whole lot of damage. And it looks like ENERGETIK are going to have to decide between going for an offense and a defense. ISCRITTI is able to make it away, and he will survive just a little bit longer to get a little bit more damage. No way, no one is able to deal with this on his own, and ENERGETIK has to take down Dynamite. Almost an advantage for Unima Gaming, but now they got to play defense with no one setting up for a huge push in. ENERGETIK, much of the same. Here comes ISCRITTI to deal with him. Felipe gets a big push in, and he's able to connect with the safe as well. So much damage. There's the super, or rather the gadget as well. 23% left, and Brawl has to power through Wesley. A jump in, not enough damage to take down Wesley, and no one is forced to use a super. So much time left, but it doesn't look like that clock is going to get to reach 0 before we find out who is headed on to the grand finals. ENERGETIK with a super in. Brawl with a jump forward. He's going to get taken down, and so much damage rains in. Zero Zone's going on to the grand finals.
That honestly, Reddy, might have been the most exciting match we've seen all year. And I know that's crazy to say, but just crazy drafts, crazy plays, super exciting moments. I mean, what a time. LATAM South, even though AQM did automatically qualify for MSI, we've definitely seen some contenders show up here for today. My picture of this region has definitely changed. For Bao holding his hands close to his face there. They should still be proud, though. Obviously, a great match overall. One of the most thrilling and exciting ones we've seen this entire competitive year.
Yeah, you can see that Brawl is very intensely ingrained in this game. He's very, very connected with the games. That definitely has some emotional ramifications, getting so close to heading onto the grand finals and falling just short. Unfortunate for them, but they should still feel very proud that they made it this far, especially versus a roster like Zero Zone as well. On the flip side, Zero Zone had to be over the moon right now, unless, of course, you are the player that we've been seeing on the player cams the entire time who has not so much as smiled until they literally have been advanced on to the grand finals. We'll see if we actually get some emotions shown by him as we move on to the grand finals as well. But first, let's reflect on this last match. So exciting. So many ups, so many downs as well. And look, even though we both predicted Unima Gaming would be the victor, I think that we can both rest assured that this is an outcome that we're both happy with. I mean, look, if either team won, we would both be satisfied with the result, because it's been an absolutely brutal battle, and so much skill and so much motivation, so much energy, so much determination has been shown on both sides of the arena.
I'm totally okay with being wrong in that spot. And I mean, like we said before, it was literally a coin toss for us. It was about as 50-50 we felt going into it. And I think both teams proved that. Very even matchups. And I mean, I'm going to be looking out for these teams in future months. Zero Zone honestly could be a good shot at taking down CMG here. I don't feel 100% safe that CMG wins this. I don't think it's out of the range of outcomes that Zero Zone can do it. I think CMG, of course, has the most potential. They've shown it in the past. They've been a really great contender in previous years, even making some world finals for their players, but Zero Zone, it could be their month too. They've had to absolutely grind to make it this far. It's been tough matchups all around. However, when you 3-0 somebody like AQM, I have to be on alert. If I have to pick a winner, I don't even feel confident saying it, but I'm gonna go with CMG. It just makes the most sense in my mind, given the past, given what we saw today. But I hate that, because Zero Zone's also proven that they are worthy of possibly taking a stab at this grand finals too. Again, if I'm wrong, I'm totally okay if it leads to matches like we had in our semifinal number 2.
Hard agree here. And of course, with us advancing on to the grand finals now and Zero Zone graduating past the semifinals, we got a new bracket, brand new and refreshed for you guys to see how the competition has been sizing up today. How on earth did we get here? Well, Chazmac Gaming BR started at the very top of the bracket, facing versus KIB, a 2-0 versus them, a 3-0 versus AC Milan Clash, which completely blew us all out of the water. Zero Zone also getting a 2-0 versus Renegados, which we did not expect, and taking down at Unima Gaming, which, okay, look, we didn't predict that either. I don't think either of us expected these teams making it on to the grand finals, but neither of us can be disappointed with the result. But it's time, Kenny, for us to be incorrect on one final prediction. Who do you think takes this one? Chazmac Gaming or Zero Zone?
I'm going CMG, and again, they should be the favorites here. It makes the most sense, but if I've learned anything here today, not the predictable thing's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen with this region now. My previous mentality about how these teams stand, the tiers that they're kind of at, completely out of the water. This month has changed everything for me, especially as we approach the second half of the year where double points kick in after AQM returns from the MSI event. I don't know what's going to happen. This should be a huge confidence booster for all these teams that are in the hunt for that #1 spot, though. CMG now taking down AQM. That's a huge blow to AQM's amount of points for the entire year, and that's a huge buff to CMG with Arena Casito out this month and in second place. CMG are really primed to take a stab at a really solid spot in this region, and of course Zero Zone in that hunt too. I mean, they're proving to be a really solid team depending on how they do here today. Maybe this is a team we have to look out for in future months as well, kind of in that Arena Casito range or CMG or AQM range. I want to see what they can do here today. I think they're going to be put to a good test. It's a really big one for both sides.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, look, this is a great chance for Zero Zone to completely turn everything that we knew or we thought we knew about LATAM South on its head. And likewise, it's a great opportunity for Chazmac to ascend to victory like we kind of expected them to do at the beginning of the year. And look, like, don't get me wrong, AQM, I think was like going to be their main rival. And I think a lot of people expected that going into the very first month of BSC here in LATAM South. And Chazmac Gaming just kind of surprised us with them not being as dominant as we expected. Now it is time for them to ascend to that position and begin that, I guess, the period of the season where they are claiming that second spot for the World Finals, and it's Arena Casito that has to play catch-up, I believe. We'll see if Arena Casito even comes back next month. I have high hopes for it, but for the time being, this is Chazmac's opportunity to get a whole lot of points in a big lead on Arena Casito and perhaps be a reasonable competition for AQM in the running for that first World Final spot for this region. Zero Zone, of course, a strong competitor that we got to be thinking about as well. We saw some of the brawlers that they're very talented at in the last one. We even saw them succeed with the Barley when no one thought that that would be like a really viable strategy. So maybe they're here to surprise us as well. We'll have to get into the draft to see how the first map is going to go, though.
Yeah, and if anybody has a perfect bracket out there after today, please add me on Twitter if you have proof. I mean, it's been a crazy day. It's been crazy. You know, this is easily our worst prediction show, I would say. I'm so happy to say that. I love just having some fierce competition going through. I love being proven wrong. I love seeing the best out of all these players and teams, and it's just been such a fun day to watch. I just think definitely one that I'll remember for the year for sure so far. I'm sure we're going to follow up with some great moments to come in this grand finals too. I think both these teams have really shown the best of themselves here today, and I'm super excited to see how it all ends.
Yeah, same here, same here. We're just going to have to move into the game first. Chazmac Gaming, as far as like what sort of brawlers we can expect these guys to play as well, I think from Zero Zone in particular, we saw crazy surge plays from them. And if anything, Chazmac Gaming are going to make sure that they don't allow that brawler to go under the radar. I think we talked about it in the previous games as well. They allowed Surge for just one game and really had a rough time with it. So those are some brawlers that we can expect to not be available. We did see, I think AQM claimed Squeak one time as well, and Chazmac were very serious about not allowing that to happen again. So these main two brawlers that we talk about in the current meta are just about not at all going to be played at all. And that's 2 out of 3 bans that the team that doesn't get first pick are going to have to be thinking about as well. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to a coin flip for each set. So who do we think will draft better? I think this is another big question that we have to ask ourselves going into this matchup. And Chazmac Gaming, I think, especially above AQM, had numerous points where they drafted, I think, in my personal opinion, way better than AQM.
I think CMG showed that they had a great understanding of the game, and just 3 short days is really all they've had to work with for the new Brawler balance. things. There's different brawlers that get in the mix here, and I mean, that was a great demonstration of that last set. We saw Bull, Daryl, Barley, and even Dynamite show up. We saw Lola be first picked again. I think this has just shown that each map's changing a little bit. There's new things that are going to be implemented, and I think CMG did a great job of getting creative and having some very firm and strong comps against AQM, but I also think Zero Zone got creative and it worked out for them. I mean, obviously a very narrow victory, 3-2, came down to the wire, but I think both these teams here today showed that they, even just a short time, have a great understanding of how the game is going to be working out in the future.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And look, it's very evident that Chazmat Gaming has drilled and scrimmed this whole 3-ban sort of strategy a lot, and it completely showed in their draft versus AQM. Now, for Zero Zone, that's not really something that stuck out to me. Maybe if we put it under a microscope just a little bit more, then we will be able to notice that. Of course, we're going to be starting off on sneaky fields, and I totally think that this is going to be a great case study, if you will, as to who is better at drafting. Especially because there are certain brawlers that really do succeed on this map, and there are definitely a lot of comps out there that can trump basically anything that they run into. So I think the draft is going to be probably the most important section of this upcoming set. I don't know about you, Kenny, but I think that it's possible for a game to be won in a draft. Some people really disagree with that. I'm curious to get your take on it.
I think the draft's a huge factor this year. If on paper you have a nice advantage, you know, it's really good. Obviously, it's different when you put it into play. I feel like, especially with draft, we've just seen, even on paper, even today, we've seen times where it feels like a team should be outnumbered. Or Renegado's Brawl Ball set earlier was a good example of that, and they still came close, even though they had some hard counters on the field. But again, you have to find and strike that balance between drafting the best brawlers for the map and also countering what your opponents have. It's very interesting, and I think, you know, so a lot of people at home, it may just seem like they're picking the 3 best brawlers or the 3 that are a good strategy together, but it's not always that simple. It's really difficult, especially when you take into consideration that they have 30 seconds to make each of these decisions. That's such a quick amount of time when you're trying to analyze what another pro player will do, what the best strategy for you is. Now we see these bans come in too, and it looks like we're going to have some more interesting gameplay to come.
Okay, Chazmat Gaming BR, they ban out Rosa, Gale, and also Sandy. All really strong brawlers here. Zero Zone also. They have second pick, but I find this kind of curious. I guess as a team with second pick, you do want to be banning out the most powerful brawlers so that the enemy doesn't have access to them. That is the advantage, I suppose, of winning the coin flip, is that you get to pinpoint more brawlers that you want to get rid of because you do have the power of having a single brawler to pick first. Though Zero Zone have gotten a couple of really good brawlers on their side, already getting the Byron and the Spike as well. It's up to Chazmat Gaming VR to pick something that they're going to follow that up with. They did ban out one tank and a couple of brawlers that can give some serious problems to tanks. Something that wouldn't surprise me, though, is if they go for, like, an Ashe or something. We'll see the Leon pick as well. Okay, well, it's always kind of funny to see one just straight up leave their chair. But I guess if you've already decided which brawler you're going to pick, it's not really necessary to stay there the entire time. Fifth pick is on the way, and it's going to be an IMS. How on earth can Zero Zone answer this, Kenny?
Yeah, it's a really interesting approach they're going to have to take here. I saw Rosa and Gale too, and I honestly, if this was in the NA region, I immediately thought Gale too, brother. I 100% agree. It's just when Rosa being a great counter into Ashe, Gale being a great counter, they set it up, but Latin South, of course, doesn't really pick the Ashe too often. IMS was still on the board too. I could have easily seen that being an IMS and an Ashe in a different region, so I'm right there with you. Sixth pick coming through, though. We forgot Surge is still available. It's really interesting. I think the only ban that I'm a little shocked about is the Bell one. It really seems to be a brawler this region has started to use a lot more. I think Surge could definitely bring some good value here. They're going to elect to go with Spike here too, which again, I think the verdict's still out a little bit of how he stands in the meta right now. I think he's very solid into Crow and into Leon as well. I think it can definitely work. But again, that light plant, not necessarily as hard of a counter into some of these brawlers as we once thought now that it's been nerfed.
Yeah, if I had to give my best guess, they just really didn't want to face versus Colonel Ruffs and then a long-range brawler in that kind of strategy. We will see a whole lot of speed for these guys. Look how fast Edinho is. He doesn't even have any sort of speed power-up. He just has the speed gear, and being in the bushes gives you so much of a boost. He will be moving right up in the face of Alonso, almost getting the kill. There's the Invisi-Heal as well. He's able to walk in here. A team kill, and Chazmat Gaming BR, just like that, are going to score their first goal within about 30 seconds of the game starting. To their credit, though, Zero Zone do have a super on Wesley that they can work with. And if that lollipop drop goes down, Zero Zone can absolutely fire back. Down it goes. Alonso has a lot of healing to work with, but it's not going to be enough to push through. Edinho, a pass up to Edinho, and there's already going to be the goal for him. Little dribble to the backside there just to show off. And Chazmat Gaming BR, just like that, have taken game number 1, and they are feeling real good about it.
Yeah, and I actually lost screen there for a moment, but it does look like game number 1 went towards the side of Firecrow in his roster. Really well played, and even though Surge being a great brawler and Spike not necessarily being as strong right now, it looks like it's paving the way for CMG. Is now Pekka getting a strong start once again. They're going to have a wide open goal here. Alonso going down. They can't quite block it. Nicely done there. 1-0 to start off for Chazmat Gaming.
Okay, Pekka almost getting a kill on Wesley. There's the pinch from Firecrow. No one is able to shut down Firecrow, but here's the pass up to the left side. Pekka is on very low health, so he can't push in just now. Edinho might go for it, though. Almost gets it in. Wesley is there to block things off. Edinho, though, lasers down this life plant. Alonso is going to try and hold up his own on the left side. Edinho does get into an aggressive position. Perhaps a pass up to Edinho. No, super isn't going to reach him in time. He didn't pop the super in time and thus went down. We'll see if he actually does have that super. Maybe he popped it right before he went down. He'll be coming back on the left side as well. And he does still have the super to work with, which is a nice ability to have, no doubt. No one also going to be the last member remaining over here. Firecrow narrowly surviving with a nice amount of health left. He is going to be trying to stay alive and also trying to find a good position in order to slow down Surge as he approaches once again.
A nice push once again from CMG here. Firecrow is going to be still standing at the top here, already a 1-0 lead, and all they need to do is throw it in for the goal. Got to be a little more careful now, but timing works out. 2-0, and Chazmat Gaming to start things off are taking down a fierce opponent of Zero Zone in a very quick set.
I mean, look, you got to hand it to Chazmat Gaming BR. They have 3-0'd or 2-0'd every single opponent that has come their way so far. That is a big water bottle. I mean, I guess you got to stay hydrated if you are sweating that much on Brawl Stars. You know what I'm saying? Kudos to Firecrow. I mean, what a key player in the success of Chazmat Gaming so far. And his namesake Brawler Crow, I think he did a phenomenal job on it as well. I also want to point out just the movement of these guys. Actually, no, let's talk about the Leon play from Chazmat in the last game, because I think one of the biggest things with playing Leon, one of the biggest obstacles that you have to overcome when you're learning this brawler is that his attack kind of fans out as well. But Chazmat, they just have a way of playing Leon to where it's as if he's literally just shooting in a straight line, and he's able to, or rather they as a team are able to take brawlers down so quickly and also find that position remarkably fast. It honestly blows me away, and it wouldn't shock me if they pulled that out on Flaring Phoenix for the next set. It's going to be our first time seeing Flaring Phoenix for the day, but we've seen it in previous months as well, and we're pretty familiar with some of the brawlers that are great here. Just we don't have Fang or Eve really to worry about anymore, but if I were Zero Zone, I'd definitely be looking out for the Leon.
Yeah, it's definitely a brawler that they've made us aware of, and it was really interesting to see it play out. Just so masterfully done. They've got the movement down to combine with the shots and fan it out just right. I think that's a great point and something we definitely need to celebrate on their side. And, you know, this is Latin South. A brawler you could look out for here is Bo. It's more something that AQM's done, but again, it's somebody that's on my radar at least because I have seen it practiced several times now. It is a map where he's appeared before. You know, we've seen things like Boatara and other combinations work out really well in the past in game modes like this. If they want a really, you know, kind of passive-aggressive or a more defensive approach, definitely somebody they could look out for. Of course, Tick, Gene, Sprout, Byron, all some very common picks in the previous months that could very easily show up here again today.
Okay, we're moving into Flaring Phoenix. You got a whiff of the map right there. Have a few bushes to work with, and also a wide open mid. Some little lanes to fire through there as well, but there are some key obstacles that are likely to be broken open by a few different brawlers. Colonel Ruffs is one of those. He is going to be banned out here. Also, I find it quite interesting that Grom is going to be banned by Chazmat Gaming BR. They do have the first pick, so they know that whatever thrower that they pick, or if they play into a thrower, that there's not going to be a really solid response to it. And with Zero Zone banning out Tick, it wouldn't shock me if they pick up Sprout somewhere along the line. It wouldn't synergize amazingly with Piper, but it's still playable. On Flaring Phoenix, you are kind of playing your own lane the majority of the time, so synergy is not as paramount as it would be on other maps, especially like Sneaky Fields, a completely different game mode, but still heavy on the brawler synergy as we saw in the last set. Zero Zone are going to be picking up the Sprout, though, which I find quite interesting. It doesn't work amazingly with the Piper, but Chazmat Gaming BR won't really be able to respond to it, actually, because they don't have a tick to speak of.
I think grabbing Sprout here is actually really huge for the side of Zero Zone. I think this is where the mind games kind of kick in. They ban Grom rather than Tick or Sprout, and I think that was maybe to anticipate trying to grab that, or maybe they only wanted to bait it, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do with the Mortis. The trap has been set, and now they got to be careful, though. They do pick this really early. They're going to go with the Tara bow strat, too. I mean, everything is coming together here. The big brain plays from CMG, and they have trapped their opponent. What are they going to do to address this? Because I think the one thing they have to deal with now is Mortis, as he's going to be a great candidate to deal with both Piper and Sprout. And you love seeing this. The 3 bans allowed this to happen. Big brain plays coming in from CMG.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Zero Zone is able to get a really good pick for pick number 6, and they got to give their coach a raise, because, okay, Pam, I can definitely vibe with it. I mean, look, Pam is going to have some difficulties dealing with Bo, I believe. Primarily, though, she'll have some issues with Tara once she throws down those shades, but she'll be good at sucking all of the ammo away from Mortis. Here's the big thing, though, is that Zero Zone are going to have to stay as pretty much one single unit, and that is going to be perfect for Tara once she gets her super, and she's going to get it for free because she is playing next to a Bo who has a super totem. This is going to be a pretty stressful situation for Zero Zone. Chazmat Gaming BR do start off the game very defensively, though. Okay, we see Fire Crow on the no-hat Mortis. I see you, Fire Crow. Also, a lot of the ammo being sucked away. No one is going to get immediately punished, though. We'll see Pekka go for the attack from behind. Wesley and Alonzo forced in the same area. Fire Crow sweeps it up. And Chazmat Gaming BR take round number 1.
I mean, this is just crazy to see a draft strategy pay off this much. This time, they're taking it differently. They're going to get really aggressive. They've got supers on their side. The Bow Nine's coming through. Wesley going to fall, and Mortis continues. He gets through the wall, too. They finally take him down. It's going to be 2v2 overall, but the Tara pull, not enough to get killed, though. The aggression not paying off quite yet. Both of them are going to be super weak here, and now, actually, I would say the favor going towards Zero Zone.
Oh my gosh, it's so hard to make a call now. I mean, we do see the second super totem come out from Edinho, actually. Zero Zone are still in the running for this one, though Pam is primarily there to give some major issues to Mortis. Now he's not even here, which is actually way better for Zero Zone than if it were Mortis and literally anything else. Alonzo is still going to be in serious danger, and Pekka, with that super actually ready to go, he might not even have to use it. But there's no harm in using it, as Chazmat Gaming don't even plan on having a next round to save that for. Still gotta play it safe, though. Once things close in at mid, Pekka is gonna be popping that super to get as much value as he can. Goes to the double pull, 0 value, actually, and that was a huge loss for Chazmat Gaming BR. Zero Zone don't have really high-value supers to work with. They do have Sprout Super, which can close off a single area. Chazmat Gaming BR also have the super totem to work with as well. We see Alonzo use that super to break open some bushes too. Firecrow's just biding his time, waiting for the perfect combo to get both Sprout and Piper in one go.
I think cutting off that little patch of grass there honestly might be enough. They need visibility on Fire Crow. It's the biggest threat to them for both Wesley and Alonzo. So nicely done there. It looks like a little more slow to play start here for Zero Zone. Firecrow now approaching, gonna be popping the gadget there, cut off immediately though, and the wall break coming through too. No one though gonna be in a tough spot now. The Tara pull coming through as well. It's gonna be a 3v2 scenario. Firecrow approaching the pushback as well though. Wesley all alone though, trying to deal with two different brawlers, and now it's just a 2v1. Alonzo, can he clutch this as little old Sprout against the big bad Mortis? Gonna be a tough one here. Firecrow does have a super, a nice cutoff though. I mean, giving himself the best chance possible. Another wall being cycled as well. Doing everything he can to just try and stay up here.
Well, I mean, Alonzo, it's a bit of a lost cause for him. Edinho and Firecrow are gonna humor him at least. Yeah, I would be putting up the very. Okay, dude, this actually, this is the championship that I wanted to see. Chazmet Gaming BR. I mean, look, at the end of the day, which former roster is this? INTZ, and remind me, which team invented the Protesto? Right? Don't let the name change confuse you. These guys, BM is just ingrained in them, and this is what we love to see. At least it wasn't just straight up disrespectful, though. It was actually quite funny, so kudos to them on that, and they absolutely earned it as well. Completely dominating Zero Zone so far. Let's see if Zero Zone can fire back just as furiously, though.
Yeah, they've got to be really careful off these starts here. Now a Tara pull coming through too. Firecrow looking to clean house, and there's one that falls. A very weak Alonzo. Now the connection from Edinho, the bow buff paying off. Wesley all alone. The pushback. Firecrow can easily just close the gap though. Well played. CMG with another round.
He so could have gotten the kill with the super, but he wanted to preserve it, and along the way, he also managed to bait out one of the auto-aimers from Piper. We'll see maybe a big play from Firecrow. He chains the super together. He's not going to use it quite yet, though. Has to evacuate, actually, as the healing station goes down, and he gets taken down by Alonzo. That's a good bit of revenge for Zero's.